Hello everybody and welcome to the 14th round of the 2004 let me restart. Hello everybody and welcome to the 14th round of the 2004 Formula 1 season here on F1 Challenge. We're here for the Belgian Grand Prix of 2004 at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. It was missing last season due to issues involving tobacco sponsorship, but it is back on the calendar and in full force with a new layout in the final sector. The conditions are looking pretty treacherous out there for the teams and drivers, as I am joined today by Nils Hartl.
Hello everybody.
As I was saying, the practice times were obviously quite muddled up, with a lot of drivers very much mixed up. The top five, though, looking pretty regular, as Kimi Raikkonen topped the session in the drying conditions at the end of the hour-long session. Rubens Barrichello was second and Jarno Trulli third, so a decent showing from those two guys, although I don't think there's much to show in terms of the actual competitive order of these teams as we look further down the order. Both Hondas in the top 11, both Opels 12th and 13th, Montoya down in 14th, both Brabhams there in 15th and 16th, and the biggest surprise was Alex Young actually outpacing Michael Schumacher, which was... I don't think anyone would have expected that. Of course, Minardi fetching their B-Spec car for this race weekend, which hopefully can give them a boost towards the top 26 today. At the back of the field, David Salins, he had a pretty torrid time in his testing session, I would say, in Minardi, as, he had a suspension failure late on, so when the conditions got better, he did not get out there in time, which means that he only did laps in the conditions of the monsoons. There we go, I'm messing up my words completely. In the Drivers' Championship, Kimi Raikkonen leads with 67 points. That's 8 more than Giorgio Pantano after it was a McLaren double podium. Michael Schumacher as well with his 5th victory of the season at the Brickyard, ahead of Rubens Barrichello, who got a solid result on the board. Jarno Trulli is back in a Ferrari, and Enrico Toccicello unfortunately will not compete any further in the season as of right now, unless there's some other factor that comes into play in that regard. Juan Pablo Montoya as well, just a single point behind the Ferrari driver. I've got to say the Williams man has been very good in that Williams, as we also saw the first points of the season in the Williams colours for Jacques Villeneuve. Further back, Riccardo Sperafica should be ahead of Ralph Furman on countback, as he got 7th place in the United States Grand Prix and puts him ahead of Furman due to him having a podium and the Irishman not. As though those are the other drivers who scored points so far this season in the Constructors' Championship. A brilliant race for McLaren and a not so good race for Renault sees them now extend their lead in the Constructors to 19 points with 5 races to go. Ferrari also looking quite far off. They need to find 35 points of advantage over the Silver Arrows. That's 7 points on average per race if they want any chance of winning this Constructors' Championship. Probably out of their hands now. The nationalities there are mixed up between the teams, but all the points and so on are correct, as towards the end of the top 9 there, Jaguar and Red Bull each on 10 points, as those are the other 3 teams who have scored points this season. Do you think that we'll see a 6th win of the season today at Spa for Michael Schumacher, Nils, or do you think finally someone will knock him off his perch?
I mean, normally Michael is pretty good around Spa-Francorchamps, usually a good hunting ground for him. Really depends on how fast Trulli gets up to speed again. Seeing as he's back in the car, maybe he could be a challenge for Michael. But other than that, at most his teammate Kimi Raikkonen, but we have seen that Raikkonen struggles usually during the races compared to his teammates, so I feel like Michael is probably the favorite once again to win this one.
Of course, remember, 13 rounds in, we've only got 5 races to go. Kimi Raikkonen could make history this season if he manages to go 5 more races without winning a race this season. He'd be the first ever driver to win a World Championship without winning a Grand Prix, which would be quite the surprise considering the early season pace that Renault and Ferrari had, especially. As we've got a lot of people in chat today. Welcome in, everybody. 25 people are already here. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. Galactic Stag is so excited. You're here early to avoid watching Arsenal play football, says Derby. This blank screen is more entertaining. Just watching the timer go down. Horizon is here. Gallifreyan has got some food on the go. I wonder what food that is for Gallifreyan. Peter as well as FF in the chat. Jeffrey is here. Who else have we got? We've got Martin as well. He is here, as well as Luca. So welcome in, everybody. If I missed anyone else's name, I do apologise for that, as I was just quickly skimming through the chat before we head into... Where is it? There it is. The qualifying session, which is monsoonal for the start of the session at least. Not exactly sure if it's going to improve in the session. The weather forecasters don't believe so, so this will be an interesting one, I assume, Nils.
Definitely. With the Ardennes forest usually keeping the rain boxed in between the trees. So it will be interesting to see how the drivers will do around here with the new final chicane, the bus stop having been resurfaced, and a little bit altered, a bit slower to aid overtaking, as the circuit organizers are looking to improve the facilities all around. As Pitsonia gets us underway, and there's heavy spray coming off the back of this Brabham.
Yeah, it looks absolutely torrential out there today. And you can see how little grip Pitsonia had up Eau Rouge and Radion there. It's really tentative conditions as he's out there on the full wets, and probably, at least for a long time in this session, as it currently stands, we'll probably see the full wets for the majority of this session.
Really depends on if any team gambles on the wet tires instead of the full wet tires at some point. Maybe the cars will create a more suitable line for the tires, but it'll be interesting to see if we ever get to this point.
Just want to pull up the news segments, because we have got a bit of news going into this race weekend. So, upgrades going into this Grand Prix. Williams have fetched a rear wing downforce upgrade aiming to improve stability. It'll also help them in these torrential conditions in qualifying and probably push them further up the order as a result. Jaguar also fetch a rear wing downforce package as the team begins its rebuilding phase under Tom Walkinshaw. Of course, that's before they become TWR Jaguar in 2005. Toyota reducing their drag of their rear wing, so pretty much in the opposite direction on how to develop their rear of the car. Opel also bring a downforce package with both the front and rear wings being improved upon. Meanwhile, the biggest news, Minardi, B-spec car for those guys, and hopefully for them, that'll allow them to actually maybe make their way into pre-qualifying, out of pre-qualifying, or just regular qualifying, and actually make it into a race for the first time this season, of course. Do you think that they've got any chance here today, Nils?
Probably the car is capable now with the upgrades, seeing how the drivers did well in the practice session, even though it was wet to dry. But I feel like the driver lineup is too mediocre for them to actually compete with even Boots and Brabham, or even Jaguar. Jaguar have probably one of the better driver lineups with a shit car at this point.
That's probably a fair analysis of that one. Gallifreyan has got the roast dinner day today. Of course, it's a Sunday, with the chicken thighs, the carrots, the potatoes, and the homemade onion and red wine gravy. Very nice. Very nice indeed.
Can you make my food? Thank you.
Yeah, this is probably akin to the real-life Spa 98. I can't remember if Spa 1998 Belgian Grand Prix actually had rain. I do remember the last time we came here in 2002 in the race, it was pretty wet. I don't think many cars actually finished that race. I think maybe 7 cars reached the checkered flag in that race. So
I can fetch that statistic in a bit.
Leandro, welcome in, as well as Ripio. And of course, racing at home.
The 2002 Belgian Grand Prix had indeed 8 finishes overall.
I think Mika Salo retired on the final lap, though, to my recollection. I don't think it would have been marked, but yeah, I think he was 8th in that race.
Could be the reasoning, but he finished, or was classified at least 8th on the road.
Antonio Pitsonia seems to be quite decent in these conditions at the start of the session. He has beaten Timo Glock in the first sector by 0.7 of a second. Now, could this potentially be a bit of a strategy play from Brabham? Hopefully, they'll be hoping that the rain only gets worse from here, and Pitsonia will manage to grab himself a brilliant starting position on the grid today, as he's set a 1:07.3 in the middle sector. They were bad conditions in practice, but I feel like they are miles worse in qualifying.
I'm surprised that we even go out currently on circuits. That's like a 2:15 at this point, now heading into the new resurfaced and restructured bus stop. Could allow more overtaking opportunities, but the pit lane entrance is still a bit iffy. It's actually going to be at 2:19 nearly.
Timo Glock is 4 seconds off the Brabant's
off.
pace. So you could probably assume that the conditions are only getting worse, which could put Pitsonia in a fantastic position in this qualifying session. Timo Glock is really struggling. He almost has to break through Blanchimont and into the final bus stop chicane here. He's got to take it so tentatively in these conditions. It is absolutely bucketing it down. Really wanting to not make sure that he spins the car around. Sato, though, a lot more competitive than Timo Glock through the middle sector, as Glock with a 2-minute 24. Dear
4-9.
me.
Trulli's going 1.1 seconds quicker than Pitsonia, though, so there's some pace, I think, to be found. Sato's 2.3 seconds down on the Brazilian.
And Sato splits the two of Pitsonia and Glock.
But it's not a good element for every newer team or every team that has less funds if already Glock is struggling in an upgraded Opel. Trulli now is looking to improve. Trulli is 5.4 seconds down through the middle sector.
Yeah, a lot of drivers are struggling. I think it's going to be down to the drivers rather than the cars this qualifying session, at least. So obviously the race is unknown, as Cristiano D'Amata pretty decent there, quite a bit faster than his teammate Button through the opening 2 sectors. Welcome in, James.
Now we have the rear side, or the more accustomed side of Antonio Pitsonia holding somebody up, that now being Jarno Trulli.
Let's get on. Oh my days, the
Oh my god, you can't see anything.
The visibility is just absolutely nothing at this current stage in qualifying.
Not even the fog light is visible. That's concerning.
D'Amata then to pole.
Overall quickest.
I imagine, though, Jarno Trulli, even despite being held up, should comfortably take top spot in this session as he makes his way up towards the line. Yeah, comfortable for him. 2-minute 12. And already seems pretty comfortable in that car. As Montoya out there on circuit right now, he's 5 seconds down through the first 2 sectors.
Maybe the organizers would have to look at starting the qualifying session at a later date or on a Sunday itself than right now, because there's no visibility for anybody.
Somehow it's 30 degrees Celsius, which is pretty impressive considering the downpour that is happening right now.
I mean, monsoon conditions usually require higher temperatures, but that's even for monsoon conditions a bit high, as Montoya is slower than Cristiano D'Amata.
I think D'Amata's set a really good lap time there for his banker lap in this session. Of course, if the conditions improve, then it probably will be improved upon massively, as Massa there goes on to the second row of the grid. Ricardo Zonta out there right now, and he's just in front of said Cristiano D'Amata. Ralph Furman also in the final sector now, so we'll stay on board with him.
As he's heading through Blanchimont, where Timo Glock really had to even get off the throttle, which is normally a corner that you will take flat out, even in rainy conditions. So cars struggling a bit with aquaplaning, maybe as well.
I've got to say,
across the line.
I've got to say, in the context of F1 Challenge, this is probably got to be one of the worst sessions in terms of track conditions that I have ever seen.
I have never seen something like that. Like, I had washouts, but not to that extent.
There's D'Amata and Jarno Trulli going into the pits. Kind of held Zonta back a little bit as he comes across the line with a 2:21.9. Dear me, these are horrible conditions.
We have a grid spread currently of 13.5 seconds. Jesus.
Crucial information though, championship leader Kimi Raikkonen out there on circuit, Justin Wilson and Nick Heidfeld. This will be a good indication actually between Heidfeld and Pitsonia as whether the conditions have improved. Those two are fairly similar in their skill set as of so far this season, so it'll be interesting to see if Heidfeld will, or how he will compare against him.
As Raikkonen now on his outlap. Probably looking to somehow not get off the circuit and stay on the preferably racing lane that is currently being somewhat cleared out.
It doesn't necessarily look like the conditions are holding up anytime soon though. We're 10 minutes into this qualifying session and it looks pretty much the exact same as it was beforehand.
Pull on. Usually a corner that you take in the higher fourth gear. Barely getting the power down here.
As we see the first couple of laps then in the session, we'll go to the other main news article, which is BAR stunned paddock with blockbuster signing of Trulli and Montoya for 2005. BAR have sent shockwaves through the Formula 1 paddock after confirming an extraordinary driver lineup for 2005, signing both Jarno Trulli and Juan Pablo Montoya in one of the biggest market moves in recent memory. The announcement immediately transforms BAR from a midfield contender into a team many now believe could be a challenge at the very front next season. For Montoya, this deal ends months of uncertainty, despite producing some sensational performances for Williams this season, including his memorable victory at the Monaco Grand Prix. The Colombian has found himself unexpectedly without a drive for 2005 after Williams committed to Alexander Wurz pending his recovery and Jenson Button. The Colombian's aggressive driving style and racecraft have often made him one of the grid's biggest crowd favourites, and his arrival immediately raises expectations at BAR. If Montoya's signing was major news, the acquisition of Trulli may be even more astonishing. The Italian has been one of the stars of the 2004 season for Scuderia Ferrari, emerging as arguably the strongest qualifier on the grid and returning firmly into the championship contention after an injury, or before an injury curtailed his momentum. Convincing Ferrari to release an Italian driver in peak form is believed to have required an enormous financial package from BAR, underlining just how serious the team are about becoming title contenders. I've got to say, these are monumental moves that BAR are making in the driver market. I'm honestly shocked that Trulli has even put pen to paper in this sort of move.
I mean, I was criticizing the BAR camp a lot for their driver choices as Heidfeld goes 5th fastest. But they finally used their huge budget that they have with their tobacco money and actually sign capable drivers for once.
Yeah, it really raises eyebrows on whether now that BAR can now push on to become a race-winning team. Of course, with the Audi power for next season, they've been a strong engine so far this season, and now for BAR, they'll be hoping to push along with that, obviously going into their second season as engine suppliers. Ferrari have also faced a major dilemma now, as it potentially leaves an enormous headache. With Trulli departing, the team now have no confirmed replacement alongside Rubens Barrichello, and even the Brazilian's future appears uncertain. Despite finally returning to pole position recently and taking several podiums, Barrichello has come under increasing scrutiny for his inconsistent performances compared to his teammates and rivals. Should Ferrari decide to make a further change, the sport's biggest team could astonishingly head into the winter with both seats vacant. And I've got to say, there aren't many top drivers left on the market, of course, as we see Raikkonen across the line slower than the customer Mercedes car of Nick Heidfeld. He is a driver that's on the market there for next season, as is Michael Schumacher in the McLaren. Do you think either of those two could potentially move to Ferrari?
It would be a career downturn, actually, for Michael, because he left Ferrari after 2001 to join McLaren, win the championship in his first year there. And A move back to Maranello wouldn't make sense at all. Kimi, on the other hand, might be the one to save Ferrari out of their dark times that they currently have, but I don't think Raikkonen wants to deal with the politics in Italy, so could be that Ferrari are actually looking at a low-key option, but a low-key option wouldn't make sense for a team that has such a big history as Ferrari. So Ferrari have genuinely shot themselves in the foot with not renewing Trulli early on in the season.
Yeah, I think Ferrari are going to have a big and long discussion with one another in that team to who can replace Jarno Trulli. Of course, Barrichello is confirmed to be there until the end of 2005 as per his contract, but you know, he still may get sacked. Even I think the chances of him getting sacked now are massively reduced, as Jarno Trulli probably won't be a threat to him anymore. But this is certainly not where Ferrari would want to be.
Even still available, Raikkonen, Michael, and Heidfeld. Heidfeld is not available. If Ferrari wants to talk about finances in terms of of Heidfeld, Petsonia goes second fastest. If Ferrari wants to talk about possibly acquiring Heidfeld's contract, they would have to pay me 10 million for that. I'm not letting go of my golden goose.
So Toccacello could be a potential option as well. Of course, is the Ferrari test and reserve driver, just came off a couple of decent races for them as well, but would they want to go for a rookie? I'm not entirely sure. There's not really that many other drivers available. You could go maybe down the route of Jacques Villeneuve if you really wanted to. Maybe there
is history in terms of his father being a former Ferrari driver, having huge impact on the philosophy actually at Ferrari, but would a signing of Villeneuve at his current stage in the career make any sense?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, but what I am sure of is that somehow Ralf Schumacher has now gone to pole position ahead of Jarno Trulli by over a second, I think it was there. So I think we are seeing conditions improve out on circuit, as we were talking about Rubens Barrichello. Here he is now making his way around the final couple of corners. Of course, he took pole position here for Jordan in 1994 in similar conditions, and across the line for him it's only 12th fastest. I think he must have made some form of mistake on his lap to be 7 seconds off the pace, as Michael Schumacher also preparing to begin his lap. Giancarlo Fisichella now makes his way towards the first sector and is not as fast as Jarno Trulli at least, so he is down in the first sector.
Let's look at how tentative Fisichella is through the Raikkonen chicane. But that's currently conditions where I expect, as Glock goes fastest through the first sector, that's currently the conditions where I expect Michael to literally dump 5 seconds on everybody. So
do you
it'll be
think
interesting to see.
maybe one of the Toyota drivers could potentially be an option for them? Because of course Fisichella has previous history with Ferrari, is Italian. He probably wants to get back in there because he was sacked after 2002 and then moved to Toyota. He's done decently well in his 2 or 1.5 seasons, I should say, at the team. Sperrifico could be a development option. Maybe if you want to go down that route, maybe you just go for someone like Felipe Massa in that case. But then again, you're just really looking down the grid and seeing that there's not that many all-star names outside of McLaren left to be chosen, unless I've just thought of someone. David Coulthard?
Scott in Maranello would be an interesting side, but Coulthard really didn't justify to be on the grid next season with his current downturn in performance. Possibly that they buy out Alonso of his Renault contract would be a huge sum to buy him out, but could be the only option that they really have. Or even Pantano. But I don't see them
Furman.
going.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Ralph Furman actually would make sense with his current performances that he's bringing, but he wouldn't be a real Ferrari driver in that sense. I don't see them going back to Fisichella, seeing how they got rid of him at the end of 2002 to get Ralf Schumacher, and now he left in, probably causing all the mess that we currently have. at Maranello as Furman goes 6/10 quicker through the first sector. There aren't really that many options for them anymore.
No, Mika Hakkinen retired for good at the end of 2002, so he is not coming back in any shape or form. As Michael Schumacher across the line, and it's currently an all Schumacher front row as he goes 6/10 slower. This is surprising. I was expecting it to be easily taken off Ralf Schumacher for pole position, but it seems like no one else can match him right now.
Maybe he found his brother's ability in the rain as well, but I feel like the weather has eased up a bit. We see more lap times tumbling down. Drivers finding their footing maybe also helps.
Dashi, 107% rule doesn't exist because one, obviously we've got the top 26 and two, it's a wet session, so no. Also, Hamilton. Who wants to tell him? Who wants to tell him?
So, how do I put it lightly? You're up in the first sector. So, you know how the human brain is operational? Like it's like a pudding. That pudding is severely messed up. Let's say the least.
He had a head-on collision with another.
The timing.
Yeah, a decent lap there. He's gone into the 209s. Yeah, Hamilton had a head-on collision with another driver in an F3 crash earlier on in the season, so he's probably not going to be anywhere near Formula 1 in this career mode. If I could post a link to his crash in the chat, then I would, but unfortunately I cannot do that. However, if you join the Discord, you'll find it in the very poorly named Funny Haha F1 Challenge Moments channel if you scroll up a little bit.
Yeah, so he flipped right and then slid head first into the rear diffuser of the car in front of him. So he is never able to even drive a car at this point. As Montoya now looks to improve on his lap time. Oh, hey, no, he didn't pull James' early move, but he's not touching an F1 car.
Yeah, I am strongly against offing any drivers in a career mode, so.
Funny, huh? Permanent brain damage, huh?
Why is James catching strays?
Agree. Killing me in the practice session with me. Let's focus back on who could possibly join Ferrari. Oh, my clown, that being swell, I guess.
Honestly, I can't really think of anyone else who isn't already in Formula 1. Do they try and snipe one Scott Dixon? Maybe? It would be a bit of an adventurous move considering he hasn't even scored a point in his F1 career. And didn't show all too good pace in Indianapolis at least, but... No, Jake, I said in this career mode. This one, okay?
I mean, even looking at the GP2 standings or the GP2 grid, there's really not one driver that screams, "Yeah, I'm a Ferrari driver" at this point.
Fabio Carbone. Jake, me and you know that you can't have Scott Dixon. Anyway, Pedro de la Rosa across the line. This is not looking like a good lap at all here for the Spaniard on his first run, and he is last of the running order. Jenson Button improves to 7th position, albeit still 5 seconds off the pace. I think those cars that have kind of less power and more downforce, such as the Honda and the Dams, are probably going to be the cars that you're more likely to see up the order here. Jaguar as well, looking fairly decent, as Sato goes up to 7th place. Raikkonen is also making his way through the final sectors. Maximiliano, thank you for subscribing. Much appreciated, my friend. I'm so glad that I turned off auto translation for the chat.
Question though is, if the teams with less power and more aero are in favor, where do we think will Renault go, as we still await Giorgio Pantano and Fernando Alonso? The Renault engine is a decent engine, but the car is usually the best in terms of aero design and chassis design, so maybe a front row lockout for Alonso and Pantano on the hands?
Possibly. Maybe Williams can get up the order a little bit. Montoya currently in 4th. Villeneuve has not set a lap time, as we did see Raikkonen a couple of seconds ago go up to 3rd place and just behind Ralf Schumacher. So I think we are in for quite an interesting qualifying session. I think the two Red Bulls, though, will struggle around here. We've seen often this season that the rear of that car is pretty unstable, even in the dry, and you can see that Massa's having to really rag that car about to get anything out of it. And I feel like this sort of condition doesn't kind of lean into that sort of driving, especially considering he's stuck behind someone. It's a Honda. It might be Takuma Sato. I think Dashi's just found the crash in the Discord.
I think so as well.
Yeah, no.
Now you realize why we say that Hamilton.
Oh, that's contact between Massa and Sato. Massa not best pleased with the Japanese driver kind of getting in the way, but you probably wouldn't have been able to see him in the amount of spray that there is. And up towards the line for Massa. Improves up to 6th place. That's not a bad lap, actually, considering...
Could have been possibly 3rd without the mistake.
Yeah, I think Massa has some decent pace around this circuit. Could potentially open the eyes of Ferraris for a potential race seat for 2005. You don't know.
But, yeah, I mean, usually we see the Red Bulls slip and slide with their rear, and maybe they have found something... some settings on the rear ring to aid their downforce levels here. But possibly Mark Webber to Ferrari as well if he's doing well, I guess. At this point, everybody's linked with that 2nd seat alongside Barrichello, because I don't think Ferrari want to lose another, well, high-regarded driver at this point.
Ferrari will probably not go for Luca Badoer, considering...
Oh, he did miserably.
Yeah, he did drive for Brabham in 2003 and got sacked mid-season, and then got sacked by Ferrari at the end of the very same season. So, yeah, Badoer's just been sacked by Ferrari less than a year ago, so...
He didn't even get sacked mid-season, he got sacked after 3 races from my team.
Oh, yeah,
so...
was it only 3 races?
Yeah.
Dear me. Sebastian Bourdais to Ferrari?
Possibly. Doesn't strike me as a Ferrari driver, but there have been French drivers before, so...
Mark Webber there, being overtaken on his lap by Cristiano D'Amato is quite the sight to see. Even though these teams are equal on points in the Constructors' Championship, we have seen pretty much in every race, even the race that Jaguar scored that podium, Red Bull be faster than the Black Cats. So I expect that we'll probably see some improvement from Mark Webber in his 2nd run.
Now that's an FF comment there, Benny.
Kubica is the Opel test and reserve driver, Gallifreyan. So, welcome
Also
in, Dan Moroz.
quite...
This is the first Grand Prix that you've watched in your life. Well, welcome in. This is a 2004 simulation, all done with AI, or rather the AI of the career, not actual artificial intelligence like ChatGPT. This has been a series going since 1998 that I I have been running, but only since 2004 I have started streaming it. And we're here at the Belgian Grand Prix, where Kimi Raikkonen leads the championship by 7 points, something like that, ahead of Giorgio Pantano in the Renault. It's quite a lot different to real life, as Barrichello across the line in the Ferrari. And he is in 4th place, splits between Raikkonen and Montoya right now. Justin Wilson, pretty decent actually through the first sector. He's down in 17th place right now, and will probably need to find quite a decent improvement to find himself potentially in the top 10.
Also getting back on the comment of where Kubica is in here having potential. He is, well, also, as already stated, at Opel as a test and reserve driver. And at the current stage of his career, I wouldn't put him in any F1 car because he's quite undercooked still.
Yeah, he's a very... he sometimes has good pace in the F3 Euro Series, and then sometimes just kills half the field. It's really how he feels like when he wakes up that day, to be honest. Welcome in, David. Thank you, mate, for the comments. Sampass as well. Welcome in.
All my suggested Ferrari drivers going to have done badly or crashed perfectly. I only saw Badua and Hamilton, so I don't know what else you put in chat.
Yeah, Badoa's just, as his name states, bad. Hamilton, yeah, no. Yeah, I think if they really want to try and snipe a very good driver, one of the McLarens, or maybe one of the Toyotas. I think other than that, I feel like realistically they're not going to be pushing for any form of championship in 2005 unless they have by far and away the best car next season.
Or buy somebody out of their massive contracts.
You could also do that. Wilson then, very good lap indeed in the Rose Toyota as he goes up to 7th position. Jarno Trulli is actually 2 places further back than the Rose Toyota.
McRae to Ferrari. Colin McRae would be outside the 107% rule. And would probably crash the car on a regular basis.
Still plenty more seats up for grabs as well. Both McLaren seats, of course. Both Red Bull seats are still available. Both Toyota seats. So yeah, there's still a lot to be sorted out as we are, after this race, just 4 rounds from the end of the season. Jarno Trulli then, purple through each of the first 2 sectors. I think is the first driver actually to go under 1 minute through the second sector. As with 27 minutes to go, it's Jarno Trulli on pole position by 3 seconds. So the conditions, I think, are most definitely improving. So I think those drivers that have not gone out there and left it a lot later than their rivals, such as, well, Villeneuve down, Alonso, Pantano, Sparaffico, Minassi, and Young and Friesaka, those drivers all have a lot more laps to use in this session and may be able to be a lot higher up on the grid compared to the likes of maybe, I think we've seen Pitsonia do 2 or 3 runs already in the session.
At the current stage, if it stays like this, we would have one Minardi actually qualifying with Montero currently ahead of De La Rosa and the drivers that have not set lap times yet. So this might actually be the race where we see a Minardi qualify.
I think we're also, because of the conditions, not going to be able to see what the true pace of the Minardis are in this session. Of course, Montero is currently 17 seconds off the pole position time, which would be by far and away the biggest gap that we have seen all season. As Pantano up towards the line, and he has set a pretty cautious banker lap there as he goes 19th fastest.
Probably just wanted to get 1 lap on the board. That's good enough to get him through, even if he does not do another lap. As Friesaka now up to the line for his first flyer. Goes 17 fastest.
Impressive to see him actually ahead of Giorgio Pantano as he looks to dial himself into this Boutsen to try and qualify for, I believe, the first time in 3 or so races. Zonta has been showing him up in that second Boutsen. The dinner has been served. Nice one, Gallifreyan. Hope you enjoy your meal. Michael Schumacher back out there on circuit again, and he's 5 seconds currently off the pace, as Montero is also out there. Benassia making his way through the final sector. Jung as well in the 34s on his first lap in the session. So we could be seeing, like you say, some Minardis getting through, but of course the session could very quickly change in terms of its weather conditions in the following 25 minutes.
Also just increase in terms of rain shower again. So maybe drivers should at least get a banker on the cards right now, as Montero is back out on circuit. Alex Young as well, quite matching his teammate through the first sector. So probably the Minardi's looking good for qualification this time around.
Yeah, Manassian went 13th place, nowhere near the pace of his teammate Ralph Furman, about 3.5 seconds off. As Montero, I think that said 6.5 seconds off through the first 2 sectors. Michael Schumacher also out there and setting the timing sheets alight. Not as fast though as Jarno Trulli through the first part of the lap. Montero been told over the radio that the rain will continue for the next 20 minutes, so this could potentially be the best of the conditions that we see. It's completely undecided. It's up to, of course, how the weather feels, what it feels like doing really, as Montero up to 17th, and he is firmly in the top 20 now with that lap time. We'll see how it compares to his teammate Alex Young, who's on his first lap in the session. Frisacker, I think, is just behind the Minardi. He is, as the Malaysian will make his way up towards the line and set a lap time of a 2:16. So he is also in the top 20, as is Frisacker. So, a lot of what we normally assume to be the slower teams on the grid certainly seem to be showing up with a decent pace here in Belgium.
At the moment, Minardi are probably getting a nosebleed being 17th and 18th. Dizzying heights for them, as Michael now up to the line and goes second fastest. 1.1 seconds down though on Jarno Trulli, but currently would be qualifying alongside the Italian, as Frisacker is doing another lap, probably doing more laps to get more heat in his tires. Wet tires usually have more durability usually as well, so could help him.
I don't think I said earlier, but welcoming Kia, welcoming Rose as well. Your car is indeed in 8th place. Justin Wilson with a 2-minute 11.9 currently sits half a second shy of Juan Pablo Montoya on the 4th row. And it would be, of course, Rose Toyota's best qualifying result of their history by quite some margin if it stayed as it is. Of course, though, Villeneuve, Alonso, Sperrifico and De La Rosa would prefer it not to be this way, as Barrichello goes out on circuit for yet another lap in this session. Where is Dixon? That's...
I love how the debate is currently in chat if Colin McRae ever gets a F1 seat, not recognizing that he's literally 36.
Yeah, he probably is, even at that point, past his theoretical best, even if he was any decent in a Formula 1 driver, as an F1 driver, I should say, in his prime.
And Valentino Rossi probably would get absolutely hammered in a teammate battle with Barrichello, so don't romanticize with Valentino Rossi ever getting an F1 seat yet.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't be all too interested either, to be completely honest. Probably prefer to stay with bikes, as we see Scott Dixon on board then making his way through the last couple of corners. Currently has a lap time of a 2:17.3, and I think he actually had a McLaren side by side with him as he makes his way across the line into the top 10 then for the New Zealander. That's Frisacker. Zonta, there he is.
Zonta currently on the cusp of not qualifying, being nearly 2 seconds ahead of Pedro Della Rosa, who's yet to set another lap time. So it will be interesting to see where the Brazilian will go. Currently his teammate is 20th behind both Minardis, which is quite a rare sight.
Zonta, though, faster than Dixon through that first sector. So we'll see if he could potentially somehow get that car wrangled up into the top 10. He's 3.5 seconds down through the first 2 sectors, so this could be a fantastic lap if he can hook this final sector together for Ricardo Zonta.
Could see him around Justin Wilson or Juan Pablo Montoya if he keeps up the pace. As Barrichello is barely improving on the his two compatriots, Pizzoni and Zonta, through the first sector, so Zonta has some genuine pace currently.
I think Franchitti would be underbaked, and Zonta's also been let go by McLaren a long time ago in this. As Zonta across the line, it's 7th position for the Boutsen Asia Tech. A fantastic lap there, as he is less than, or just over half a tenth away from Barrichello in a Ferrari.
Zonta has been let go by McLaren since 1999 at this point, so there's no reasoning for him to be even linked with them.
We'll see if Pizzoni can potentially match Zonta. Not quite, although he does move up to 12th position with that lap. I think we're seeing a lot of the newer teams really thrive in these interchangeable conditions, as the car difference really has been nullified and it's down to the teams and drivers. Barrichello, though, is up quite considerably on his previous best. He needs to be, though, considering he is 4.5 seconds off his teammate in the exact same car. So, for Barrichello, he needs this lap, I would say. Granted, his seat is probably safe for 2005, but would probably want to stay at Ferrari past that season. So, for Barrichello, he'll make his way up towards the line, and the Brazilian will improve to 4th position, albeit still 3.5 seconds off.
I have to say, currently, as Ricardo Sperfico is on his first flyer, we have yet to see Fernando Alonso and Jacques Villeneuve. And if the conditions do not properly improve and they only get 1 lap in, they might be out in qualifying already.
That would be a complete shock for the Renault team. Of course, Fernando Alonso has scored pole position in 2 of the previous 3 races, and has also been on pretty awful form when it comes to the races, so it would probably pile on the pressure of Alonso not quite being up to scratch to his teammate Pantano, despite him being at the team for a longer amount of time. Sperfico behind Alex Young and Montero as it currently stands, as Justin Wilson has improved into the top 5.
Impressive lap time there by the young Brits.
I actually don't think he's that young. I think he's about 27 or something like that at this point.
It's still quite young regarding
Fair
the
enough,
time
yeah.
period. Because some drivers made their debut like at 25 or something, well regarded young. His Glock goes 16th fastest. Alonso finally out on circuit.
A Glock there improving up to 16th. It's pushing the Minardis further down. Another driver that's potentially wanting to find an improvement is Jenson Button, as Felipe Massa goes alongside his compatriot in the 2-minute 10s. He's now in 5th place, a 10th behind Barrichello. Top 3 currently, Trulli, Schumacher, Furman, but you look past that and it's completely topsy-turvy in terms of the top 10 positions. Massa, Wilson, Schumacher, Ralph, that is Zonta, all in those top 10 positions with just 16 minutes remaining in the session. And I think this is wildly unpredictable with the weather. I think if you're out there at the correct time, then you're pretty much set on a very good qualifying position then. Button across the line, 15th only.
Next up could be his teammate Cristiano D'Amata again, who's currently out qualifying him. Rare sight actually to be seen, as D'Amata is nearly 3/10 up on his personal best through the first sector. Now heading downhill once again into this tight and twisty bit of the circuit.
But Sato's driving for my team next season. I don't want to see Sato crashed out by Colin McRae every race in a Ferrari, god damn it. There is Jacques Villeneuve out there on circuit. Alonso is also out there now, so the last 2 drivers to not set a lap time in this session are finally out there, And the Canadian may get in the way here of Cristiano De Matter on his lap, which could prove crucial in his quest to qualify in this race. Who knows whether the conditions will continue to improve or worsen, as Trulli is up by a tenth in the first sector on his previous best.
Italian still putting down the gauntlet, as it seems. And maybe also the track conditions and track temps are improving.
The first chicane changed in 2000 at Monza. For Cristiano De Matter then, this could be one of his last claims to fame in Formula 1. Of course, will not be re-signing with the Jaguar team for 2005, as those seats have been taken by Ralf Schumacher and Björn Verdheim. But for Cristiano De Matter, he needs this lap to get himself into the top 10 and have any chance of scoring points this weekend. 5th place for him, a great lap, as he has well and truly puts his teammate Jenson Button in his place, I'd say, considering he's Williams bound, as this is a brilliant lap here from Jarno Trulli, a second up on his previous best, as he's already a second ahead of the rest of the field.
Really just showing that he has not lost his pace currently after his injury at the Hungaroring, but I feel like there is slowly a drier line forming currently on the circuit, so whoever gets out last could have the best shot at maybe snatching a good position. Currently Ralf Furman and Michael Schumacher going out on circuit again. Trulli though goes to a 2-minute 5.214. Impressive lap time there by the Italian.
The bottom four, I should say, currently consists of Tom Coronel, Pedro de la Rosa, Jacques Villeneuve and Fernando Alonso, each driving for BAR, Opel, Williams and Renault respectively, and it would all be their first non-qualifications of the season if that were to go ahead. For Coronel, Villeneuve and Alonso with their teams, it would be the first ever failure to qualify, I think. Actually, it might not be for Williams, I'm not entirely sure on that one, but it would be a massive scalp in terms of the championship picture for Fernando Alonso in the Constructors' Championship, of course, with Renault sitting 19 points behind McLaren with 5 races to go. It could mean that any single point, any single non-retirement for either McLaren or Renault could prove crucial by the end of the season. Alonso, though, on his first lap, a fantastic lap to go up to 3rd position.
Villeneuve now next up, who has been overtaken there by Ralf Furman on his flyer, so Villeneuve's first banker lap will definitely not be quick enough.
Just need to interrupt. Pitsonia and Jung are on the regular wet tyres. So seeing the monsoons / the full wets on a lot of the drivers throughout this session. I don't think we've seen the wets before this point, but I think this could massively shake up the order even further, as Villeneuve across the line
pole position
in the bottom 3. Not a good lap at all, as he set the slowest lap time, the 3rd slowest lap time, and remains in the bottom 4. And would the current standing fail to qualify.
Alex Young is one of the first drivers on the wets, so potentially he could be up in the order as well. Ricardo Sonta is out on wets as well.
Montero's improving through the first sector as well, and is faster than Nicolas Manassian. What is happening in this qualifying session, I'm not entirely sure, but Manassian in turn is 4 seconds up through the middle sector alone and is in the 59. So I think we're about to see the times just completely drop in this session, which could lead us to a crazy bottom 4 being knocked out.
Whoever gets their lap time in the latest will probably have the best shot at pole position. Also, with all the drivers now changing to the wet tires, whoever gets stuck in traffic essentially has his lap ruined, even with the faster tire at this point. As Fisichella had an incident.
Where's Fisichella?
Oh no.
Sounds like Fisichella's been in the wars with his Toyota. He's off at the...
that's a heavy incident.
That's the Fania chicane for Giancarlo Fisichella. And it's less than a year on from his... Yeah, it's less than a year... No, that's... Oh, yeah.
No, that's Lecom.
Yeah, that's Lecom, sorry. Let's see what happened then with Giancarlo Fisichella. He's on the wets. I think
Right,
it's just the problem with the replay. As that's impressive. It doesn't seem like that much of a hit for him. Fortunately, the roll hoop has kept him covered there from the wall. But a big smash there for the Toyota driver, as he is probably going to be out of this qualifying session.
Yeah, I don't think Fisichella is going out on circuit anytime soon, and he's only sitting in 16th, so he could be out in qualifying in total. So we could possibly see a Toyota not qualifying for a race.
Let's get back to Montero then, who is improving through the first two sectors. Currently down in 20th place, teammate Jung in 21st, and this could potentially be monumental for Minardi's season. If they can qualify for a singular race, it will be fantastic for the team. Montero across the line, it's 16th, and impressively ahead of Fisichella, who has of course just had that crash, who may not be out there in the rest of this qualifying session with 10 minutes to go.
To be honest, Alex Jung is not setting lap times alight in the first sector, not really expected from the Minardi, but still, he's on a decent improvement currently. Will be interesting to see where the Malaysian driver will go with his wet tires at this point.
Barrichello out there on wets, as well as Massa, Wilson, Zonta, Dixon, Pitsonia. They're all going out on the wet tires now. Alex Jung, 4 seconds up. This could be a monumental improvement here for the Malaysian, as Manassian has just gone third fastest.
He was past us beforehand. Michael goes second fastest, only 7/10 down. Ralf Schumacher is improving through the middle sector massively. He is currently on a personal and sector best lap time here.
And this proves why Ralf Schumacher is the reigning champion. Sorry for interrupting.
Alex Jung now next up to the line. Where can the Malaysian go? Across the line, it's 10th overall!
Oh my god, Alex Jung up to 10th place. Schumacher across the line, it's 3rd place for the Honda. This is fantastic to see. We're seeing teams that have never had a chance of scoring even holding a candle to even the top 15 in qualifying, even for Minardi, the top 26, and currently Alex Jung just qualified in the top 10, has now been knocked down by Ralf Schumacher, but there is a chance for the Minardi faithful to see a car on the grid.
It's only 15th. He's done with qualifying, as well as Massa and Barrichello when they finish their lap times. So whoever times their lap times now perfectly could push out those drivers as well. Coronel De La Rosa in the drop zone out on circuit as well. Trulli goes up to 16th. Could possibly be safe. Who knows? Sonta next up.
Montoya as well finding a decent amount of improvement. He is down in 14th, so he is not safe yet. He's actually behind this man that we're on board with and is out there on the full wets as well. Zonta across the line and ahead of Raikkonen. 9th place for the Bootsen. Here comes the Colombian next. I think this is going to massively shake up the order. 8 minutes to go in the qualifying session, and it's anyone's guess as to who will be in the bottom 4 and to who could...
Sorry to interrupt, Justin Wilson is 7/10 quicker than the one Pablo Montoya through the first sector.
And Montoya 6th. So he's up onto the 3rd row. We'll see how he fares for the rest of this session. Freesacker, not a good lap time from him. A second of improvement as he is only in 19th position. 19th. Sorry. Where is... who we're looking for? Wilson, 14th position.
Yeah, Justin Wilson.
There he is.
As Barrichello now and Massa next up across the line. Massa and Barrichello on their final lap times. Massa goes 7th fastest. Justin Wilson 1 second up. Is matching Rubens Barrichello through the middle sector. So the British driver with a decent, or well, actually good lap, currently in the Rose Motorsport car.
The Toyota crew might be biting their nails. Barrichello 6th, as everyone apart from Villeneuve is out there on circuit outside of the top 20 right now. So we could see some major improvements for those lap times, as we now see Justin Wilson, currently 14th on the grid, moves up to 9th place.
Decent, really decent lap time there by the young Brit. But now up next, Scott Dixon, who is currently in trouble in 17th. Could possibly fetch him up into the top 10s as well if he strings together the last sector.
Glock also needs a decent lap here on his final run in this qualifying session, currently languishing in 22nd position. The Opel not suiting these heavy rain conditions at all. Glock only 19th. This could be worrying times for the Opel team as Dixon up towards the line in the BAR. It's a decent improvement as he goes up to 7th place.
7th place. Great lap by him, actually ahead of the driver who will replace him at BAR, that being Montoya. I think next up is Pedro de la Rosa, I think. Oh, no, actually, Fabio Sperrifico I think is further along. No, Sato is even the furthest along, but Brazilian here needs a decent lap. Sato only 16th. Tom Coronel also back out on circuit. Friesaka is doing a race stint on his full wets. He is the only driver still on full wets. Goes 18th fastest though.
Villeneuve out there on circuit, so we could see another change in position, as that is Alonso going through on Sperrifico in towards the final chicane. This may hamper entirely Sperrifico's whole weekend. Contact between the Brazilian and the Spaniard. Up towards the line then for Sperrifico. It's looking like a decent amount of improvement, and across the line, should be safe with that one as he goes 6th.
Currently in the drop zone, Giorgio Pantano, who's out on circuit. Mark Webber, Jacques Villeneuve and Pedro de la Rosa. The Spaniard though is currently on an improvement, cutting the corners there of the bus stop.
This is looking like a mega improvement here for Pedro de la Rosa across the line, and it's 17th. So he pushes his teammate down even further. I think Glock may be in serious trouble here of making it through. What about Giorgio Pantano then?
Could push Jensen Button further into the trouble zone and does so. Pantano up to 4th. Next up, Nick Heidfeld, who needs that improvement desperately. Who's currently sitting in 28th. Mark Webber also out on circuit, so Fisichella looks like to be in deep, deep trouble currently if he doesn't find his spare car.
Keep your eyes on the Minardis. 19th for Young. Make that 20th as Heidfeld just outside the top 10. Cristiano D'Amata has been pivotal for Jaguar in this qualifying session. Much more comfortable in the car compared to Jensen Button, and he is showing it in droves across the line then for D'Amata, and he's up onto the 4th row of the grid.
Mark Webber next up, improving massively, as well as Jensen Button, who is in the drop zone. Timo Glock will be out with that lap. Glock will not qualify.
Yeah, he's failed to qualify. That's the first time this season that we have seen an Opel outside the top 26 in qualifying, and the German's going to be massively frustrated with that one. What about the Australian then of Mark Webber? His teammate, Felipe Massa, up in 13th right now. We'll see if this can change for Mark Webber. It does. 7th place. Crucial for his qualifying.
Tom Coronel stays 12th, right behind his teammate. In the meantime, Jarno Trulli is looking to improve further on his lap time, but has Thiago Monteiro right in front of him. Fisichella still not out on circuit, and I have to say, if Fisichella doesn't find his car anytime soon, he's also out. Villeneuve, in the meantime, currently improving. Needs that improvement desperately, would push out the Frenchman of Benoit Trollier and put Pizzonia on the back foot. Trulli does not improve because of the Minardi.
Williams could be seeing Jacques Villeneuve knocked out in this session as Montero has been shuffled down to the bottom 4. Young out there on circuit as well, so Minardi have got it all to do if they want to stay in the top 26. For Jacques Villeneuve, though, currently 14 seconds off the pace, he improves up to 14th. That might keep him safe with 2 minutes to go in this session. Michael Schumacher also out there on circuit right now, looking for track position as he gets ahead of Nick Heidfeld to, I believe, start his next lap.
Nicola Minasio fastest through the middle sector. Raikkonen to 4th fastest. Could Minasio maybe snatch pole position?
It would be a first ever Dams pole position if he could do so. A first ever pole for Manassian as well. Furman is also looking very strong through the first sector. This could be monumental for the Dams team here at the 2004 Belgian Grand Prix. Montero not improving through the first sector. His session could be over as Manassian makes his way up towards the line. It's pole! It's pole!
Position!
What about Furman? What about Ralph Furman? Michael Schumacher's improving as well.
Michael Schumacher is finding time.
This could be a fight here between the McLarens and the Dams for pole position, which we were not expecting whatsoever. The downforce improvements of that Dams really proving to be paying off in these torrential conditions here at Spa-Francorchamps. 1 minute to go in the session. Furman down in 19th. Montero's improving.
Second. Montero could push out Antonio Pizzonia.
Furman 3/10 down on his teammate through the first 2 sectors. He needs a brilliant last sector if he wants any chance of making it onto pole position for the first time in his Formula 1 career. The 2 Dams really going for it here in the back end of this qualifying session. Montero's making his way up towards the line. He needs to find the time to knock Pizzonia out, and does. He's 25th. The Brabham's out, the Toyota's out, the Opel's out, all for the first time this season as Furman across the line. It's only 3rd. What can Schumacher do in the McLaren? He's won 5 times. And he's purple through the middle sector.
Alex Jung is improving. Ralf Schumacher is also improving. That's his teammate right in front of him, Raikkonen. Maybe giving the German a slipstream there on his way into the pits.
And for Michael Schumacher, is it going to be heartbreak for Dams? Oh, it is! As Schumacher into the 2-minute threes to take pole position at the death from Nicholas Manassian.
But the session is not over yet for Patrick Friesacker. Ben Trulli is still out on circuit and could possibly drop the Austrian out of qualifying as Ralf Schumacher is setting the fastest middle sector. Can the 2003 world champion maybe find the time required in the last sector?
He's really showing that he is the reigning world champion in this session in that Honda, defying physics, out-qualifying the leading champion. Young to 8!
Oh, Alex Young to 8!
What? Where did that love come from? What? Oh my god! Schumacher up towards the line! And it's going to be the front row!
Second fastest!
Wow!
Ben Trulli though is improving as well. He could push out Patrick Friesacker, but possibly even go further up in the order.
Oh my god, Young P8 ahead of Alonso, Barrichello, Villeneuve, Montoya.
Wait. Ricardo Sonta's only 2.4 seconds down in the middle sector. He could possibly out-qualify Giorgio Pantano as well.
And across the line for Trellier, he's out! He's made it through! Friesacker's knocked out! And the Menardis are safe! Both of them!
Both Menardis qualify!
For the first time this season! Oh my god!
Ricardo Sonta though next up. Can the Brazilian maybe start on the 6th row on the grids? Across the line, go 7th fastest!
Wow. Oh my days! What a lap from Zonta!
On the lap, Zonta is safe.
And I think that may bring the qualifying session to an end. It does! And what a brilliant qualifying session that was, with Michael Schumacher taking pole position, but behind it, wow, what a session. Ralf Schumacher on the front row, plaudits to him in that Honda. He's only scored 2 points all season, and he's in 2nd place on the grid. Nicholas Manassian, he was hoping that it'd be his first pole today. It wasn't, unfortunately, but it's still 3rd place on the grid. A fantastic result for him, as Trulli only 4th. He was looking dead set for pole position, and then the conditions just improved. Furman 5th. Raikkonen 6th. Ricardo Zonta is going to have a statue built in front of the Bootson factory at this rate. 7th place on the grid, ahead of Pantano. Alex Young has not qualified for a single race. The Minardis have been nowhere all season, and Young has slotted himself on the 5th row alongside Alonso. I don't know how he's done it. absolute black magic down at Minardi, but they have done it. They are through. Webber 11th, Sperrifico 12th, D'Amato and Barrichello make it an all-Brazilian row 7, with Dixon Coronel on row 8, Montoya Villeneuve, the 2 Williams on row 9, Heidfeld, the only Brabham making it through as Massa completes the top 20, Wilson, Trellier, Button, De La Rosa, Sato, and Thiago Montero makes it onto the grid. So, it is both Minardis on the grid for the first time this season. It's the first time this season that a Minardi at all has qualified this year. Friesacker out, Pitsonia out, Glock out, and Fisichella all out. The 3 of Pitsonia, Glock, and Fisichella, that's the first time that they themselves, as well as their teams, have failed to qualify for a race this season. And join us...
Pitsonia, no, for Pitsonia it's actually wrong because... Well,
is it? Did he?
Yep.
Oh yeah, Heidfeld failed to qualify, didn't he?
Qualify, yeah. And Friesacker usually didn't qualify as well.
Yes, but it is the first time that Pitsonia has failed to qualify. Join us in a few minutes. We'll be back for 44 laps of the Belgian Grand Prix. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we are back for race day. 44 laps ahead of the drivers. It is a dry start to this race, but there is supposedly rain, unlikely chance of rain, to be scheduled in the next 10 minutes, which could be the first 3 laps or so. So, strap in, enjoy yourself with this race, because I know I'm going to be, because Alex Young is 9th place on the grid. No one got disqualified in post-qualifying scrutineering, so we got both Minardis on the grid, as it was in the qualifying session, and we're seeing Montoya make his way out of out on track. I'm going to be back in a minute or two, because I'm going to get myself a drink, so I'll leave you in the capable hands of Nils.
So, audience, who have we got as the race winner in this race? So, will it be Michael? Will it be maybe Ralf Schumacher, Jarno Trulli? Or could it actually be Alex Young Mania and he wins the race? Type in your predictions as we head to the grid with Juan Pablo Montoya. Of course, Benny says Michael. Also being the only person that has been mad about the qualifying results, while other team owners have also lost a car in the qualifying session. Ricardo Zonda, obviously winner from 7th, makes sense. Jesus Christ. So, okay, Michael Trulli are probably the most reasonable. Michael, Minassian, Ralf Schumacher, first, second, third would be a generational podium. Alonso is the most obvious one. Alonso starts in 10th, so has to deal with Alex Young first. Could be possible. Yeah, I think it's Dixon's time to shine. I think he will. I'm doing an FF. Sorry, chat. Well, Dixon. If the race is anything to like the qualifying sessions, it could possibly be anybody. 10 DNFs is possible with the first corner. Benny, Pitsonia, and Freesucker also didn't qualify.
Hello.
Glock only did 2 laps, while others did more than 2 laps, so...
No, Glock did all of his laps. He did them all at the start of the session, though. Screwed himself.
Oh, yeah, well, screw himself then. Same with Pitsonia, who did all his flying laps at the start of the session, and Freesucker, who did all his flying laps on the full wets.
When you look at it, it was kind of expected that it'd be those bottom 4, with about 15 minutes to go.
Yeah.
I think Ralf Schumacher has got a palpable chip on his shoulder today. I think he's going to perform pretty well here today. I reckon a top 6 finish is probably on the cards for him in this race. I imagine that he'll probably fall back at the start, but he'll get back into it.
FF actually with an interesting podium, which isn't that outrageous currently, with Michael, Minassi and Ralph. So...
I think Trulli will have something to prove in this session, as well as he was, I feel like, favourite for pole position, especially
Definitely.
in the first half of the session, and unfortunately just didn't have the best of the conditions, and eventually fell down to, luckily for him, only 4th place. It could have been miles worse, but yeah, he set some brilliant laps in the full wet conditions to the point where he's competing with the drivers that were on just regular wets. So yeah, good session from him. As hello, Takuma. And this man as well.
I will grab something to drink in the meantime.
That's no worries. If anyone else wants to, we'll be starting in a couple of minutes, so if you want to grab yourself a drink, now would be the perfect time to do so before we start this race. Welcome in, Typhon. Tiago Monteiro makes his debut for this Grand Prix. This is the first race start of his Formula 1 career. Of course, has failed to qualify by some margin in a lot of races this season. Young 7th. Young 7th? FF, are you okay? I know you come up with some bad takes, but you think he's going to move forwards? Huh? What?
What?
Nils had to come back and double check.
What is going on?
FF is predicting a Young 7.
Oh! Oh! What?
You're getting yourself a burger. Nice. What kind of burger
Nice.
is it, Galactic Stag? Seven finish. Ah, that makes sense then, yeah.
Good one. That's a good one. We don't even know. We don't even know if the Minardi can do a whole lap race distance because we never seen them.
Yeah, this could be. This is basically testing for them because, you know, they've never they have never done more than like 15 laps in a session. So it's gonna be judgment day for the Minardis essentially to see if they can actually reach the end of the race. As we are now awaiting the final driver to make it into his grid slot, that being Fernando Alonso, as so often is the case. And we will get this race underway after an absolutely insane qualifying session. Hello, Jose. I am not describing what happened to you in qualifying because
You have to see it for yourself.
you have to see it for yourself. It was just chaos, absolute chaos. It is both Minardis on the grid. Jung in 9th. We'll see if he can make anything of it. But it's Michael Schumacher on pole for this race. And without further ado, let's get this race underway.
Hello there. The weather, as so often is the case here, is just wonderful. Over 30 degrees and climbing. It's a fantastic day for Formula One. Michael Schumacher first. Ralph Schumacher second.
Nicolas Menassiron.
Third. Jarno Trulli fourth. Ralph Ferdman fifth. Kimi Raikkonen sixth. Zonta seventh. Giorgio Pantano eighth. Alex Jung ninth. Alonso 10th. Mark Webber 11th.
Riccardo Sperafico.
12th. Cristiano D'Amata 13th. Barrichello 14th.
Scott Dixon.
15th. 16th. The Williams driver was decidedly average in qualifying and will have to work extra hard to make the most of his midfield position. He starts 17th. Jack Villeneuve looked a carbon copy of his teammate. He starts alongside in 18th. Nick Heidfeld, 19th. Massa, 20th. Justin Wilson, 21st.
Benoit Trellier.
22nd. Jenson Button, 23rd. Pedro de la Rosa, 24th.
And with Sato and Montero on the back row of the grid, I'm not actually sure what's happening with Montero's car, but he hopefully should be fine for the start of this race. All that there is to do is wait for those 5 red lights. The lights are green, there's racing to be seen. It seems like a decent start at the front of the field, as I think Montero may have been involved in an incident further back. Actually, the minimap seems to have glitched out a little bit. So at the front of the field, it seems as it was. Heidfeld's run into problems. And I think Heidfeld may be already out of this race. He's got no rear or front wing, so he is already out of this race. And Brabham's only hope of a good result today has already been shattered on the first lap.
Barrichello in troubles as well.
Yes, he is indeed, as here is Nicolas Menassian going for a move on Ralf Schumacher for second place. Michael Schumacher has already run off into the distance as Menassian looks towards the inside but can't find his way through. Right, let's see what happened then on the race start.
I have a feeling that either Heidfeld or Justin Wilson absolutely dived down the inside of everybody in turn 1. And there is... Oh!
It was Scott Dixon. And then...
So Scott Dixon caused the incident also between Barrichello and Wilson, I think.
No. It was Barrichello and Wilson was a separate incident there. And unfortunately, the Rose Toyota car is going to need a new front wing. I don't think the FAA are going to think much about that one in terms of it just being a racing incident. But for Barrichello and Heidfeld, they are both out of this Grand Prix already.
As Jung has already dropped to 12th position. As Santos already on his radio confirming if it's raining or not, so could see rain any moment essentially. Menassian in the meantime has gotten past Ralf Schumacher for second.
Schumacher really seems to be struggling on this race start. The reigning world champion is already falling into the clutches of his ex-teammate Jarno Trulli, who nearly tipped him round at P1. Brilliant catch there from the Honda driver as he stays in third place, but only for the time being. Ralf Furman also looking to get involved as they head into the Fania chicane for the first time of 44. Schumacher leads then ahead of Menassian.
Currently we see the problems that were hidden by the Honda, by the rain for the Hondas, evident right now again. The Honda of Ralf is currently struggling big time, and as Menassian has closed the gap to Michael by 1.1 seconds already.
Menassian certainly seeming like he is wanting to take this race lead as Trulli is desperate to get past Ralf Schumacher but can't find his way through. Furman's up his inside as they head through the bus stop chicane towards the outside of the corner, now out the final corner. Furman can't find his way through as that is Webber actually fending off Kimi Raikkonen there for 6th position in this race. He might actually have a look towards the inside of Ralf Furman and towards the next corner. Not able to do so as there goes Trulli up the inside. That's 3rd place for him now in this race.
Menassian could possibly be the next one to get the position on the German. As Pantano now looks for a move down the inside of Riccardo Sperrifico.
Pantano really trying to stick with Riccardo Sperrifico. We've seen many times this season, though, that the Renault has not been as fast as the Toyota in a straight line, and once again it's proving again, but that's a late braking move there from Giorgio Pantano. Is unable though to get through on the Brazilian.
Slight contact between the two of them.
On board then with Felipe Massa. He is in 13th place and stuck behind Alex Young. As it currently stands, he's fallen down a couple of places on this race start as Giorgio Pantano has just overtaken or re-overtaken Sperrifico for 9th place in this race. Wilson has served his pit stop, and we've already had 2 confirmed retirements. Barrichello and Heidfeld both involved in lap 1 collisions. A bit of a shame for those two, as Jarno Trulli, the only Ferrari left in this race. He's pulling away though from Ralf Schumacher quite nicely, as there goes Ralf Furman. It's the battle of the Ralphs once more, this time for 4th place in this race. Schumacher though giving the chop to the Irishman as he is very close to making a move now up into 4th position.
Clouds are gathering around the Ardennes forest. Could possibly already be rain on the horizon for the drivers. Will be interesting to see who manage that then properly, as Furman now down the inside of the resurfaced bus stop and could swoop around the outside and does so. Furman up to 4th position.
This has been a fantastic...
sets the fastest lap.
This has been a fantastic start for the Dams team, with Menassian up in 2nd. It's likely to change, though, as Jarno Trulli, of course, setting the fastest lap, as Nils said, and he is catching him at a rate of knots. Zonta is surprisingly kind of keeping with this front train right now, of Ralf Schumacher leading it. He's doing a decent pace. We haven't seen often this season that the Boutsen is as fast as the Honda. But as you can see at the top of your picture, the clouds are beginning to form around the circuit. We could yet see some weather in this race, as here is Felipe Massa. He's been behind Alex Young for an entire lap, but will he be able to make it through? He's unsure of which way to actually go. Up the inside? Yes, he'll go towards the inside and maybe make the move there on Alex Young. The Malaysian, though, not willing to give Massa an inch. And Massa has to cede position in that battle. Zonta then sorry, go on.
Montero has been passed by Takuma Sato now in 23rd again, but not really that much expected by Minardi, as Zonta nearly got taken out there by Riccardo Sperrifico. In the meantime, both BARs are debating 16th overall. Sperrifico around the outside, pretty good move there by the Toyota driver.
Yeah, he made it look like the Boutsen wasn't even moving in that move, and now Zonta is down to 10th place in this race. The dream of a potential points finish for either one of these teams seems to be very quickly fading away. Alonso then is the next car behind the Brazilian, as Massa has still not been able to get past Alex Young. He might be able to go for a move though, up the inside into Blanchimont. Surely not side by side, nearly contact
They
there.
are still... Massa still now looking for a move potentially down the inside. No, actually looks down around the outside. Now moving into the inside, but no. Alex Young still keeping behind the Felipe Massa. Decent showing by the Malaysian driver.
And important contextually for the championship as well, as Pantano, second in the championship, has just overtaken Raikkonen, who is, of course, at the front of the standings. Massa, meanwhile, down at two. Oh, that's Webber off!
What?
Webber off in a big way! And luckily, he has not been collected there too much. Oh, he has!
Raikkonen is off! Raikkonen is out!
Oh my days, Raikkonen! This is crucial for the championship. The driver, who has been so consistent this season, has just been involved with an incident with Mark Webber and is out of the Belgian Grand Prix.
As it currently stands, though, for Michael is closing the gap to 2 points if it ends like this.
Let's see what happened then with Kimi Raikkonen. Got overtaken by Pantano, we saw, as Webber... He's just lost the car.
On the curbing.
And then
around Raikkonen, unable to avoid him, and unlucky by Raikkonen hitting the rear first into the wall there. He just hit the side of the Red Bull. He could have survived that one, but the rear wing is now gone, so his race is over with that one.
And that is the dangers of having an incident at such a high-speed corner. Raikkonen lucky to get away with that one with such a soft blow to his car, but it's not going to do him any favours in the Drivers' Championship, of course. Without a front or rear wing, he's going to be out of this Grand Prix. And it's going to allow the likes of Trulli, Alonso, Pantano, Schumacher, Michael, that is, to make their way towards a potential championship this season.
You were saying that Zonta is currently out of potential points. He's back into the points-paying position at the moment in 8th.
Yeah,
but we'll probably have to deal with those 3 wide behind him.
Yeah, the 2 Red Bulls look very skaty around this circuit, of course. We saw Massa a couple of laps ago struggling to get past, who was it? Alex Young it was, in the Minardi, as, yeah, the rear downforce of that Red Bull certainly seems to be pretty unhealthy in terms of a driving style for either Massa or Webber to get around, as here we might see a battle between the 2 Red Bulls in towards Blanchimont as they also close down on Ricardo Zonta in front.
Jarno Trulli sets another fastest lap.
Webber there side by side with Ricardo Zonta. He's looking to make places back up in this race, but Zonta is not giving him an inch in this one as he closes the door on Mark Webber. There was definite contact between the two. Zonta knows how important a point would be at this late stage of the season for Boutsen, of course, not scoring a single point in their entire history, as their best result so far was a 2003 Japanese Grand Prix 10th place courtesy of Shinji Nakano. As further ahead, Giorgio Pantano has overtaken Ralf Schumacher, so he's now down to 6th place as the clouds begin to really now cover the circuit.
As Raikkonen's car is now wheeled back into the garage. Zonta now forming his own little train right behind him. Webber though makes easy work of the Brazilian, now back up into the points-paying position, but for how long? Because Australian look quite slippery on the high-speed turns.
FF asks when rain. I don't know. Ask God. He'll probably be able to tell you, as Cristiano De Mata has overtaken Alex Young for 12th place in this race, so another place lost there for the Malaysian, as Jenson Button will be the next car behind, then followed by the 2 BARs. Montoya, De La Rosa and Villeneuve will be next after that one. So, as it currently stands, I think we're going to see Young probably slide towards the back of the field, even despite his brilliant qualifying session, which is quite a shame, as here we see Giorgio Pantano on the back of Ralph Furman. Of course, with Raikkonen out, this is going to allow Pantano to close in that gap if he makes this move, and he does make this move up into 4th position. A lot of moves being made at the bus stop chicane, and I've got to say, it's promoting quite a lot of overtaking, but Ralph Furman isn't done with the Italian just yet. Up the inside of the Renault, and the Dams retaliates quite nicely side by side as they head up Eau Rouge. I think Ralph Furman, though, will just about get the advantage as they head up this daring corner.
Giorgio Pantano doesn't need to make the same mistake as Mark Webber nearly did there as well. So, car's getting a bit loose there up the hill as Pantano struggles to even hit 6. No, actually, Renaults only have a 6-speed gearbox, so was in his top gear. But Pantano's still behind Ralph Furman. As it currently stands, Pantano's actually losing second in the championship to Michael Schumacher, who's going up to 65 points if it ends like this.
And of course, with Michael Schumacher, he is gunning for that 6th world title. No one in the history of the sport has ever won more than 5, that being Michael Schumacher and Juan Manuel Fangio back in the 1950s. And of course, he would break history if he were to win his 6th this season. Talking about 6 wins of 6 wins of a certain period, it would be his 6th win of the season if Michael Schumacher could take victory here today. No one has scored more victories than him so far this year, as Pantano really struggling to stay ahead of Ralph. I think there was an overtake actually between the two in the middle sector, so we'll see if Ralph Furman can now potentially mount a comeback onto Giorgio Pantano once more in towards this bus stop chicane. He is gaining through the Blanchimont corner and in towards the bus stop. He's going to look towards the inside, yes, but he's not got the momentum to outbrake the Renault driver, and he remains in 5th place now.
Trulli with another fastest lap. Maybe Ferrari have fueled up the Ferrari of Trulli just a bit lighter than compared to Michael, in anticipation of the rain that is coming and probably will hit anytime soon, as Mark Webber now up to 7th, ahead of Riccardo Sperfico. But Trulli might be light on fuel just to catch the rain shower and potentially change to the intermediates or wets early on.
That's of course if the rain arrives, as there is no guarantee of it as it currently stands, but there is a guarantee of a Ralph Furman Giorgio Pantano battle once more in towards the Lacombe chicane.
Massa's
into the wall.
Oh, heavy incident!
The Red Bulls once again losing grip at the top of the hill, and this is certainly going to need to be an inquest down at Red Bull, with their car making, not the first time, such a heavy, causing such a heavy crash for one of their drivers with the lack of downforce on that rear wing. Webber really needs to take it easy now, I think, for the remaining 37 laps, as Massa becomes the 4th retirement of this Grand Prix. Just completely loses the car there. Ooh, a big crash indeed. Can we get a better angle of that by any chance? Really struggled to see that.
Alonso maybe. Seeing it. Just loses it over the bump and then
heavy into the Armco barrier there for Felipe Massa. Hopefully he's okay from that sort of crash. We'll have to wait and find out the information on his condition after the Grand Prix. But Felipe Massa out of this race. A big shame for him, as he was running quite nicely in a potential points
once again got
position.
Passed. Once again passed Pantano through no name there. Those two are still scrapping along. Furman currently, actually, those two are catching Nicolas Minacion. He's just ahead of him. So we could potentially see a battle between both Dams and the Renault for the final podium position.
Yeah, Ralph Furman really giving it his all to make sure that Pantano is kept behind by all means necessary, of course. With the two Dams, obviously, such a poor start to the season for those guys means that they have got a lot of catching up to do in the Constructors' Championship. I think they're still a long way behind. I think 6th place BAR in the Constructors' Championship, but this would massively help if they can get what would be 11 points as it currently stands. Trulli once again with the fastest lap. Gap to Schumacher in front is now down to just over 2 seconds.
With Dams currently getting 11 points, they would close the gap to BAR on to 2 points. BAR currently sitting on 38, Dams on 25. If it stays like this, they would jump up to 36 points overall. So decent battle there, potentially for the 5th position in the standings, with Toyota only being 4 points ahead of Audi as well, BAR Audi as well.
Here we go then with Giorgio Pantano trying to go for a move on Ralph Furman. He's got the slipstream though of his teammate, and he may be able to hold his teammate off a lot better as Jacques Villeneuve and Pedro de la Rosa do combat in the first sector side by side between Pantano and Furman once more. But it's the Dams that comes out on top in this battle so far. When's the rain coming? I'm not entirely sure. It was scheduled to come within the first 10 minutes, so it would have already been here by now, as I think Manassian just made a bit of a mistake there through Rivage.
Is maybe Manassian letting through Ralph Furman at a possible chance?
Could be a possibility, as he's gone a bit defensive there into Poo on a bit of a strange driving style here for Manassian. I think he is trying to let through Furman without Pantano also getting involved. Oh, this is a very dangerous situation that Manassian is playing. He's playing the team game, and he's ahead of Pantano. So crucial there for Nicolas Manassian, a well-timed team play from the Frenchman, as he is going to be ahead of Giorgio Pantano.
Furman already pulling away a bit as Alonso has made up a position on Mark Webber's expense, as well Jenson Button being overtaken by Juan Pablo Montoya, as the multiple drivers, actually Alex Young and Ricardo Zonta are battling for 10th place. What a monumental battle is going on here!
It seems that Ricardo Zonta may be quite heavy on fuel here, as Alex Young has managed to catch up to the back of his fellow regular compatriot backmarker in the battle for 10th place in this race, but he's got to keep his eyes on not only the Jaguars, but also Juan Pablo Montoya in the Williams.
I never thought that I would see Alex Young qualify or even battle with somebody that is not his teammate, as he's actually putting pressure on Ricardo Zonta here.
And I feel like the Malaysian has got some pace in pocket here to try and make his way up into the top 10 once more in this race, although he has to contend with Cristiano De Mata. Fortunately for him, though, if there's any teams to have behind you, it's probably the Williams and the Jaguar, as those two are probably behind Minardi, the slowest teams in a straight line.
Montoya now looks for a potential move there on Cristiano Da Matta. Young actually being faster on the straights as Da Matta, but Da Matta pulls out of the slipstream. Potentially the Brazilian goes down the inside and gets P11 off Alex Young, who's now just ahead of Juan Pablo Montoya, who got a bit loose there. And I think the clouds are even further gathering.
Alex Young nearly losing a place there to Juan Pablo Montoya. I think it's going to be sooner rather than later that the Colombian will make this move, but Ricardo Zonta still proving to be the roadblock that is preventing any of these guys from splitting up from one another. Up the inside there for Montoya. Dear me, that was very close to an absolute airplane crash and a half there for Young and Montoya.
Montoya losing his head a bit here as Sato's scheduled to stop already. So he is on a free stop, not quite evident on his pace currently. But it's starting to rain!
It's starting to rain. I think, yep, you can see it ever so slightly as there goes Pantano looking towards the inside of Manassian. As Furman and Manassian do battle now, it seems that Furman, once getting into the lead of this train, has just been unable to pull away. There is spray. There's spray coming off the back of the cars there as they head onto lap 10 of this 44-lap race.
Jarno Trulli has closed the gap as well. Sato is then in the prime position to be potentially the dummy off the grid and go on to intermediates and try how those already, as now Montoya into the back of Alex Young there. Interesting tactics as Montoya now brushes the fossil barrier there as well. Up the hill, can Montoya maybe make a move down the inside on Young up the hill here through Radio does not make the move, and the cars get a bit more loose now up the hill, considering the water on the track.
It's all to play for here in the lower stretches of the top 10, as Montoya will be expecting blue flags here for the car that's in front of him. But no, this is for position between Alex Young and Juan Pablo Montoya in this race. He's going to once again look towards the inside into Rivage. Not quite. As they're up the inside for Button. Sorry to interrupt. He's there up into 13th, ahead of Montoya. So Montoya losing his head, can't get past a Minardi of all cars, and now falls down another position. Another fastest lap then for Jarno Trulli, even in these worsening conditions.
Michael pitting. Michael is pitting, so if Michael Schumacher is already pitting, some other drivers have to look at the tires as well now. Potentially going for the intermediates. As Trulli and Michael could literally coast at the moment, with Furman being nearly 26 seconds behind. Jaguar already in the pits. That probably will be Button.
And there's Webber fighting back on Fernando Alonso to get himself back up into 7th place. So we expected the Spaniard to probably pull ahead of the Australian once he got past as there's contact there.
Oh, contact!
Webber's going to be displeased with that one, but Alonso's barged his way through and back up into 7th position once more in this race. Sperrifico now just behind the Red Bull.
Webber now gets a bit loose again. Sperrifico in the meantime takes already avoiding action as the Mata, Montoya, Coronel are the first ones into the pits. Potentially going for the wet tires already.
Yep, they're going in for intermediates. Yep, those are intermediates going on the cars. There's a 9.3 second stop there. DeMatta's jumped him in the pit lane. Tom Coronel also with a decent stop.
The Matter was ahead already, so he didn't really jump him. But Benoit Trulli now up to 17th, splitting those and actually getting past Cristiano D'Amata through Radio. Daring maneuver. As Trulli has taken the race lead, what happened here?
Schumacher's into the box. Schumacher's into the box, so we'll see if the intermediate gamble is going to pay off here for the German, or whether this is too early for the intermediates. It's a gamble, and he is going on to the inters.
As Giorgio Pantano has also gotten past Ralph Furman in all the mix-up there with them damn slowler. But will be interesting to see if Michael can find the pace. Currently, the inters don't seem the quickest of the tires.
Montoya's just overtaken Benoit Trulli, though, so I think it could be already, you know. The rain is very much deluging down through the middle sector, and it could be time to switch. Alex Young's into the box at the end of this lap, and he's going to probably go into the intermediates. Mark Webber is also into the box from 9th position.
There are multiple teams ready in the pits there. I think there's also Honda and potentially Toyota ready.
Rose Motorsport.
No, that's Rose Motorsport, that in the red and white kits, as well as the Dams crew that is waiting to serve one of those.
Oh! Oh, Pantano is out! Hefty! Oh!
That's a big crash there for the Italian. And he has massively had a huge crash there. His car's just been left there.
Why are we leaving the car right there on the exit of the Lecombe chicane? What are we doing?
Hopefully I just didn't pit bug anybody.
Young is in the pits.
Yeah. So let's see what happened. Big brake failure. Big.
Ooh.
I'm not exactly sure what has just happened there. Oh dear me, that is a humongous crash there for Giorgio Pantano. And there could be an inquest about his condition after this race.
The frontal impact structure is hell-bent, so could be a potential injury for the Italian.
We'll await his condition on that one then, as several other drivers are into the box. Alex Young into the box, as we have had now 5 retirements in this race.
But I'm still baffled by the FIA's decision to leave the car literally on the curbs there. So anybody could literally hit their stationary Renault.
Yeah, I don't know why the Renault's just staying there particularly, but we'll see if it causes any issues later on in the race. Hopefully it doesn't, for the sake of the other driver's safety, but... Yeah, the rain is continuing to fall down here as Jarno Trulli's off.
No, Trulli's out!
Oh! He's off at Eau Rouge! And he's out the race! Oh!
This elevates both dams currently into the podium positions.
It's a brake failure! And similar to his compatriot earlier on, well, just a lap earlier in the race, it's a brake failure for another Italian in this Grand Prix. Right, let's see what happens.
Out of character, I'm now even more mad at Scott Dixon.
Yep, brake failure. Unable to stop the car. And into the wall for Jarno Trulli. His return to the sport has been greatly hindered with a brake failure on lap 13. And that's going to allow Michael Schumacher to probably run off into the distance with this one. He's already 13 seconds ahead of second place man Nicolas Menassian, who has not even stopped in this race. So Schumacher, by far and away the fastest driver out there on circuit now.
Pit stop cleaned up. Alex Young is currently running in the points.
Very much could be the case, but he has got Juan Pablo Montoya all over the back of him. Jacques Villeneuve and Zonta is a pit crew battle. I can't believe I'm saying this, between the Boots and Energy Racing crew and the Williams crew.
As there's also Button's pit crew, I think, now ready in the pits as well. But
I've also got to say, if Schumacher breaks down in this race, I think it's going to be an all-out battle and a half between the two dams, possibly for victory in this race, unless Alonso can find some extra pace in this race, as Zonta remains ahead of Jacques Villeneuve through the pit stop phase and is out in 15th position. Jacques Villeneuve just a further place behind. Oh, the Trulli's getting in the way here on the timing sheet, as here is Tom Coronel trying to get through on him, not quite making it through, nearly losing the car actually up Eau Rouge, and not quite making the place. He's got to be careful though of Cristiano De Mata behind, as here goes the BAR pulling alongside the Williams.
Montoya up the position now on Alex Young, finally getting past the Minardi. Oh, that's just scary seeing that Renault rack there still.
Fortunately though, really Tom Coronel has probably seen that and backed out of it as a result, as there Ricardo Zonta
goes for the offense, rather defense, now gets up into 13th.
And now can probably try and pull away from Tom Coronel as a result, who's got the warm tyres on his car and will aim to just pull away from the cars behind now. Coronel probably with no response to Jacques Villeneuve for the remainder of this race, at least for the time being, with Alex Young splitting the two Williams as of right now.
Jenson Button now into the pits at the end of this one. Was on the back of Mark Webber, but still has to pit for the intermediate tires. Could fetch him out around Jacques Villeneuve. Considering that this pit box is, or the pit lane is quite short and cuts a significant part of the first corner. Stops on his marks, elevates Scott Dixon momentarily into the points paying position, and Pedro De La Rosa with a quiet race once again in 9th. But 9.0 second stop will fetch him out in
10th, I think, 11th. Ahead of Montoya. Yes, yeah, just ahead of Montoya. 10th. But the Williams is going to have the better run up Eau Rouge and Radion and down the Kemmel Straight, as now he's just behind the Jaguar, going to lose the rear end of the car a little bit, and as such going to lose momentum on Jenson Button up the hill, and I think Button may live to see this 10th place for another lap in this race at least, as Montoya looks towards the inside. The man who's replacing him at Williams at the end of this season is able to just about hold off the Colombian. Oh, Willie up the inside there for Montoya. Button unable to find a response in his defence. And now Montoya up into the top 10. Next car on his radar is Pedro de la Rosa, Dixon, Sperafico, Alonso, Schumacher, Ralph and Manassian. All yet to box onto the intermediate tyres, interestingly.
Seemingly the dry tyres still have enough temperature to even compete with them, because Furman and Co. are not matching the times of the dry runners currently.
Yeah, Furman 1.8 seconds off Riccardo Sperafico through the previous lap alone. So it could be a situation where within a couple of laps, because the rain is not really arriving. No, it's still there a little bit, but if it stops within the next couple of laps, those that have stayed on the dries are probably in pole position to get a good result in this race.
Meantime, Justin Wilson probably has gotten a lot of time because of all of that after his earlier pit stop because of damage. Thought for a second something happened to Pedro de la Rosa.
You were not the only one.
As Alonso slowly gaining on Ralph Schumacher, who's currently running third. Alonso still driver potentially in a championship fight, but has slim margins really in this one, on 44 points. But that's for Minacio now. But if if Michael has a DNF and Alonso gets past Ralph Schumacher and Minacio, he's back in the championship fight as well.
As here is Justin Wilson making a move after his first lap incident with Rubens Barrichello, I think it was, trying to make a move on Thiago Montero, who is in turn both getting lapped by Riccardo Sperafico in the Toyota. So this is a bit awkward for them, guys, as Justin Wilson looking towards the inside and towards Blanchimont. Thiago Montero on the intermediates, Wilson on the dries, but he's unable to find himself ahead. Manassian then onto the intermediates.
Currently in the pits. So we'll see him probably drop down to 5th position.
And after all this, the man who started on the front row, Ralph Schumacher, back up into 2nd position in this race.
Alonso still bearing down on him.
Justin Wilson being told to calm down with his overtakes, albeit it is on a Minardi, so it shouldn't take that much out of the tyres, I would imagine, regardless of whether it's upgraded or not.
But here's the thing, Montoya took his sweet-ass time with overtaking Alex Young, so...
That's a fair observation, as now Alex Young is under pressure from the other Williams of Jacques Villeneuve. It is... Is it raining? I think, yes,
I don't think it's raining anymore.
It is ever so slightly raining. I can see a few raindrops still coming onto the cars. But for
also
Jacques
potentially
Villeneuve,
lining up Ralph Schumacher for 2nd.
Oh, and that's Villeneuve round. And he's lost his front wing as well.
Oh, contact.
And he's going to fall towards the back of the field now, as he's also collected by Zonta. Oh, dear me. The race of his life for Riccardo Zonta is going to come to a sad end as he's escorted into the wall by Sato, and he's out the race.
Oh, my God.
Oh, dear me.
That's the driver to be a replacement for Ferrari. Anyway, Alonso now lining up Ralph Schumacher potentially for the move on in 2nd position.
We'll get a replay of that because that was pretty funny that, you know, Alex Young 1, Jacques Villeneuve 0.
Handle the aura of Alex Young.
The aura of Alex Young. Mans just escorts him into the wall by force alone, really. Tom Coronel just about makes his way through, and Zonta, not seeing him, loses his front wing. D'Amata, I think, might get away with it, actually. Yes, he does. Sato doesn't. In the wall for Villeneuve.
Sato gets rid of the problem, essentially.
is out the race.
Hartl took one for the team of the drivers. He took out Villeneuve in that one. Michael would have actually crashed into him as well because he was about to lap him.
So we'll actually look at this battle for second place now that there is an absolute shenanigans happening down at the first corner. There's my YouTube short of the race.
As Alonso now dives down the inside, please don't hit the inside wall. Thank you, Alonso now up into second position and getting his championship battle back on track with that potentially. The fuck happened? I don't know, Jack. You have to tell us what you did there.
And Alonso has not finished a single race in any of the past either 3 or 4 rounds in this championship. He's fallen away in terms of the point standings. Currently finds himself behind Michael Schumacher. But if there is a Michael Schumacher retirement and an Alonso victory here today, it would prove crucial, as Giorgio Pantano probably will now fall out of contention following his monumental crash into the Lacombe chicane.
Ralf Schumacher now pitting at the end of this lap. Will be interesting to see if Honda are still deciding on softs or intermediates at this point in time.
Schumacher, though, in a world of his own at the front of the field, leading by 22.5 seconds. But we've seen how strong Ralf Schumacher has been through this middle sector all weekend. He was purple in the middle sector in qualifying and is really putting Alonso under pressure through this second part of the lap. However, the Honda's limitations lie at the second sector and the second sector alone, it seems, as he is really not able to put a candlelight to Alonso in terms of straight line speed. Saying that, he's sticking with him quite nicely as they make their way towards Blanchimont.
Also, chap, please keep it in English, because I don't think many of us can speak Spanish. Thank you.
So both Hondas into the box. Hopefully they don't share a pit box. Please, please, please.
Wouldn't, because they wouldn't pit then.
No, they're on different laps.
They
Go
don't.
to this one. Yes, nice. Okay, so Schumacher, Ralph, that's in for intermediates. Zonta's going to rejoin out in 16th position.
Sato is back on top.
He is. Interesting then, as there is Manassian. I don't know if someone's gone off, or I think it was just someone going into the pit lane there. As I think Manassian has not got the pace on. This is Justin Wilson, perhaps, as he laps him through Eau Rouge and Radion. So, lap 18, we've got 26 laps to go.
They're going back on the softs then.
I think they are, yeah. A lot of these drivers are going on to the dry tyres once more. As is McLaren going to be ready in the pits? No, they're going to keep Schumacher out for now. He's got a gap, so he can afford to probably lose a bit of time and signal out the conditions to his team. But I think Alonso is gaining on him, so this race may not be over yet for Michael Schumacher and his race victory. Jenson Button has just been overtaken by Alex Young. That's just on complete pace, which is absolutely cinema. Alex Young there making the move on Jenson Button and moving his way up into 11th place in this race.
But here's the rare sighting of a Jaguar actually having more top end speed than a driver. Actually, let's off the throttle. Alex Young defends from Jenson Button. So maybe Alex Young should have gotten the Williams kick then.
And dams are ready in the pits for both of their drivers. So they think there's no more rain coming. They're going to go back onto the dry tyres in this race. So those that stayed on the dries, aka Alonso, Sperafico, Dixon and De La Rosa, are all going to massively benefit in this race from making not just 1 but 2 less pit stops in this Grand Prix. Into the pits then for Nicolas Minassian from 5th position.
There's no more rain, as confirmed by Cristiano Danata, but it will be interesting to see, seeing as Alonso hasn't stopped yet and still on his first fuel load, and Michael will probably stop for his second pit stop soon. So potentially the Spaniard could overcut Michael by a massive margin.
And a decently long stop there for Nicolas Minassi, nearly 10 seconds in the pit box as Montero is in, Webber is in, a number of other drivers making their way into the stop. Dixon is going to rejoin in the middle of the two dams as they two both exit the pits. Minassi in 5th, Dixon 6th, Furman in 7th.
Pedro Rosa, because of all the pit stops, now elevated into 8th position. Potentially another Opel point on the cards.
Rose Motorsport.
And for Pedro de la Rosa, he's now made his way up into 8th position, as you just said. Webber 9th, Montoya out the pits in 10th, as it's a battle in the pits between the Minardi and the Jaguar crew. 7.5 second stop there, and he's going to remain ahead of Jenson Button. This is embarrassing, I've got to say, for Jaguar. How can you be outpaced by both of your, not just one in dams of your customer teams, but both of them after Minardi have fetched their upgrades? It's just serial embarrassment, really. Button is a known entity in the world of Formula 1, a proven race winner, and he is just being outpaced by Alex Young in a Minardi. This should not be happening if you are the Works Ford Cosworth team, and unfortunately, that is the situation that we've found ourselves in.
And we would have thought that Spa would be a better hunting ground compared to Monza, which is next up, where the Jaguar will definitely struggle even further, as Scott Dixon now lines up Nicolas Minassi for 5th, potentially.
Yeah, Dixon looks like he's on a light fuel load compared to the Frenchman, and the BAR is taking full advantage of that, looking towards the inside. A very daring move as he switches from the inside to the outside, and then back, from the outside to the inside, and then back to the outside for the second part of the chicane. And a great move there from Scott Dixon, clearly showing his American circuit prowess there to move up ahead of the Dams Lola driver, who's just spun around at the first corner and has lost his front wing. No. And is crashed into his teammate.
Oh, they crashed.
Oh, dear me. So the two Dams have just both made a pit stop, and now they need to pit again. Oh, dear me.
De La Rosa into the pits for his first pit stop. Who lost his front wing there?
It was just Manassian's.
Okay.
Manassian's not out, but he will require a new front wing. This is perfect, though, for Mark Webber and Pedro de la Rosa, who could potentially move up ahead of both the Dams as Schumacher into the pits on lap 20. Second pit stop of the race then for the 5-time world champion, and he's in a golden position to take yet another victory in this season. Alonso, though, making his way down the main straight, could potentially jump ahead of Michael Schumacher as they make their way towards the pit exit. It's going to be close between the leader and second place in this race, but Alonso has done it.
But Michael is right there on it, and now on fresh tires and his final probably fuel load of this race. Alonso yet to stop. Also, who's probably having the drive of his life with a drive under the radar. Riccardo Sbirfico currently sitting in 3rd, still on his first fuel load as well as Ralf Schumacher now into the pits.
And of course, if Sbirfico did hold on to this result, it would be his second podium in his Formula 1 career, second place that he inherited from the chaos that was the Monaco Grand Prix earlier on in the season. Ralf Schumacher, though, will also be looking to try and score points this season for only the second time this year. The British Grand Prix is where we saw his only points of the year, with a 7th place finish, a 9.5 second stop then for Ralf Schumacher. Could see him potentially jumped by Scott Dixon in the pits, but the shortcut through the pit exit there through turn 1 is going to allow the reigning world champion to stay in front of Scott Dixon just for now. Pedro de la Rosa, meanwhile, has just overtaken, of course, Nicolas Minassi, who is wingless. Ralph Furman also has just been jumped by Montoya. So, Furman and Minassi both into the box again. And this has not been a good race.
Therefore into the 8th position, therefore.
And from the heights of qualifying comes the lows of the race for the Dams crew. We were looking at a potential fight between BAR and Dams in the Constructors' Championship, and now look at BAR. They are up in 5th place with Scott Dixon.
Now, we have been clowning FF for potentially Alex Young points, but look where he's currently. He's dying.
Oh dear. I don't know
Scott
how he's
Dixon
doing
has gone
this.
past Ralph
How is he
Schumacher.
doing this, man? So, for Scott Dixon, he's just overtaken Ralph Schumacher through Rivage and No Name, and as such, has now got a 30-second cushion to Riccardo Sperafico in the Toyota ahead. Saying that, he's into the box. I assume for his, what could be one and only stop in this race, as he's not stopped before this point on lap 21.
Alonso's pitting at the end of this lap as well, so he's also stopping at the halfway mark. Around a 9-second stop would be preferable for both drivers.
Do you know what? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If Young gets a point, he gets untimed out. Yes.
Furman's just overtaken Button on his outlap as an 11.5-second stop there for Riccardo Sperafico means that he's going to rejoin comfortably in third position by about 10 or so seconds ahead of Scott Dixon, and we believe that he is going to the end of this race. Scott Dixon himself is going to be into the box at the end of this or next lap, so for him he's going to probably drop behind maybe Mark Webber. It could be close between those two on the pit exit.
Probably will jump Mark Webber because the gap will be around 27 seconds as Alonso's being held up there massively by Ralph Furman and Button.
Alonso, I think, has just been told to come into the box at the end of this lap, so he is going to relinquish this lead as soon as he's pretty much got it a couple of laps ago to Michael Schumacher, who will once more take the reins at the front of the field.
And to the box goes the Renault driver for his one and only stop. Will probably come out comfortably in second again. Nothing goes south at the pit stop. As Coronel now got past Nicolas Minassian for 12. The dams really could have been right where Alonso is currently at. But threw away their race with a poor strategy and a poor performance by their drivers into turn 1.
That's an easy second
Scott
place.
Dixon.
Yes, that'll be for Scott Dixon, correct. As Tom Coronel, much further down the order, he's in 12th place right now. Scott Dixon really proving his worth right now, and he is obviously, with Trulli and Montoya coming to BAR, is not going to be at the team by season's end. So, if anyone wants to pick up Scott Dixon, it'd be probably silly not to do so, at least for some of the teams towards the back, perhaps, as Dixon makes his way into the box. That puts Ralf Schumacher back up into 4th place in this race, as Honda look to potentially up to triple their points for the season in this Grand Prix alone.
Stopping on his marks, the New Zealander will potentially help BAR in their quest to stay ahead of Dams, with them currently not scoring any points. 10 seconds on the money for the pits, and rejoins comfortably ahead of Mark Webber.
Webber's also got a task behind him of keeping behind the 4-man, I've got to say, in the past couple of races of Juan Pablo Montoya. He's in 7th place right now, looking to score more points for Williams, as his teammate Jacques Villeneuve is out of this Grand Prix. Ralph Furman and Jenson Button continue to battle for 10th place in this race as he gets through in the bus stop chicane.
They are losing time to the man, the myth, the legend, Alex Young at the moment. Alex Young now 5 seconds in front of Ralph Furman.
And Manassian unable to get the place back there on Tom Coronel in the BAR. As there is a position swap. Yep. Into Rivage, I think that was, for Juan Pablo Montoya, and the Australian is now down to 7th place in this race. Another underrated driver we have to talk about is Pedro de la Rosa. He's up in 8th place right now. Scored 1 point finished so far this season with a 4th in Monaco, and a similar chaotic race here could present an opportunity for another points finish if the car allows it.
I hope we see the normal Opel customary puff moment, but just because I want to see Alex Young points. That happens if Minardi somehow scores a point in this universe. They might still be around. As Ralph Furman has closed the gap a bit, but I feel like... Or is it just me that the clouds have gathered again?
It does look like that a little bit, yeah. It seems that overcast conditions are once more here at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps with 20 laps to go. Michael Schumacher leads the way ahead of Fernando Alonso by 23 seconds. That's about a pit stops gap in today's money. Riccardo Speraffico with a brilliant drive right now from 12th on the grid. He's now up in 3rd position in this race as Ralf Schumacher in the top 4 in the Honda. A decent race for him so far. Dixon on course to try and score his first points of the season with Montoya, Webber and De La Rosa completing the points. Alex Young with the drive of all drives, I think will probably go down as one of the greatest drives of this era of Formula 1 if he can potentially find just one more place in this Grand Prix, as he's in 9th, just ahead of Furman, Button, Manassian and Coronel in this battle for 12th place that we're watching on board with the BAR right now. D'Amata, Trulli, Sato, Wilson, Zonta and Montero at the back of the field, as there towards the inside is the BAR of Tom Coronel making easy work of the Dams and moving
Montoya
up into 12th position.
BAR.
As indeed, so as one BAR makes a place, another one loses it, and Scott Dixon is down into 6th position in this race now.
Montoya really on it right now, seemingly having found more pace in the BMW machine.
And it seems that
potentially look at getting more points in the quest of him actually staying in a potential championship fight as well.
And of course, if we can just keep pushing on these set of tyres, I don't know whether he has to pit again in this race or not, could potentially be fighting Riccardo Speraffico before the end of this Grand Prix. If we check the most recent laps, Montoya is 5 seconds a lap faster than Speraffico at this current stage of the Grand Prix. I don't know if that includes his pit lap or not, or whether, yeah, that is just a regular push lap from him. But Montoya is pretty much matching Schumacher in terms of pace, stride for stride, so maybe there's a bit of a inkling that a pit stop is yet to come for the Colombian, as their Manassian has re-overtaken Tom Coronel through the middle sector, and obviously Manassian is quite displeased with how this race has gone for both him and his teammates.
I mean, it's more on his own mistakes really, but I've been a criticizer of him through the whole season compared to Ralph Furman. Once again, I was proven wrong. Oh, Webber's in the wall.
Webber's in the wall, and I said he needed to be careful. He needed to be careful going up Eau Rouge, and he has not listened to those words. Obviously, he's not going to. I'm in the commentary booth. But for his teammate Felipe Massa, he crashed at Eau Rouge, and now the Australian has followed his teammate's steps with Mark Webber out of the Belgian Grand Prix from what could have been a good points finish here today. Yep, just completely losing the rear of the car, into the wall, out of the race. Should be fine from that sort of crash.
That's an interesting one, because he lost it on turn-in rather than on the bump that is in the middle of the corner.
But it was indeed a racing incident, so that was completely at, well, probably not his own mistake, but probably at the car's nature. And both Red Bulls out of the race. That's promoted.
But Alex Young up to 8th.
My days. He's actually lapped his teammate Montero as well. Alex Young, I don't know what he's had to breakfast. I don't know whether he's just been drinking rocket fuel for the past week or something like that, but it's certainly working whatever he's doing, as he's up in the points. Thank you for joining us, Derby Saw, as well as everyone else who has joined us for this fantastic stream. This has probably been one of the best races of the season so far, as Michael Schumacher still comfortably ahead, as we've not really got that many on-track battles, minus, saying that, Manassian and Coronel touching one another between Ravage and No Name as they make their way down to Pouon. Manassian still ahead of the Dutchman, but for how much longer? These two are slowly dragging themselves as well closer towards the battle for 9th, what is between Furman and Button. And I don't know... Oh my days, what a dive! A brilliant move there from Tom Coronel as the cheese man makes his way up into 11th place in this race. Manassian caught completely unawares there.
Gotta say, we have that much action already, only with 26 laps gone by. There's a lot more racing to be done. As there's, I think, a traffic jam because of Thiago Montero right in front of Jenson Button.
And that's allowed Ralph Furman to run off into the distance as well. Tom Coronel also looking to try and get through on the Minardi and the Jaguar at the same time. He's unable to do so as they start lap 27 in this race. Oh, actually, it might be lap 26. Yeah, it might be lap 26, actually. As they are already a lap down, of course.
As Ralf Schumacher is, I think, actually catching Riccardo Sperfico for the potential of getting a podium. Same in turn, Montoya is slowly reeling in the 2003 world champion. So Coronel probably out dragging the poor Jaguar.
And it's easy meat there for Coronel, up the inside into the Lecombe chicane, and it's a top 10 now for Tom Coronel in this race. 2 more places, and it will be both BARs into the points. It's still a solid meal there. Derby saw, chicken wings and onion pasta.
Pedro de la Rosa, in the meantime, has now been lapped as well. So Mike could be on course to nearly lapping everybody, bar Alonso at the end of this race.
And Jenson Button now out of the picture battling with Ralph Furman. It's going to allow, potentially, Ralph Furman to start closing in that gap to Alex Young. How long has Young been on those tyres? Because I assume that both dams are now going to the end of this race. Young's been on his tyres since lap 20, and he has made two stops. So he could potentially be on a 3-stop strategy today, and if that is the case, then he probably will fall behind a lot of these drivers.
His stops, though, were probably down to the tyre situation because of the changing conditions, rather than him pitting on schedule. Coronel looks down the inside there on Ralph Furman and makes that easy.
I don't think it's as easy as what you thought it was, as Coronel nearly had to make probably a bit of another move in towards turn 1, as Furman is doing now up the inside in towards La Source. Unable to do so. Coronel now up into 9th place, and he's probably going to be the man who's next going to be on Alex Young's radar. But of course, we have seen Jacques Villeneuve crash behind the Malaysian, so who's to say that anyone else can't do so as well? Let's see the top speed comparison between the Minardi and the BAR as they make their way into the braking zone. 295 for him and 309, I think it was, for the BAR as he got onto the brakes.
Massive deficit there for the Minardi, but that's already a common story of this season. Furman, though, keeps with Coronel for the time being. Actually goes down the inside and retakes the position.
And this will be perfect wherever you look for Alex Young, as these two continue to battle. It'll allow the Malaysian to still pull away from those guys further ahead. You want to see the interval as Alex Young is slowly losing time to Pedro de la Rosa in front.
Montoya is really closing the gap currently for P4. Montoya possibly could still challenge for the final podium position if he keeps up this pace currently.
It seems that 3rd to 5th place in this race, though, is converging on itself as Sperfico's just got 5 seconds in hand over the Honda of Ralf Schumacher, who is in turn 6 seconds ahead of Juan Pablo Montoya.
In the meantime, Furman has slowly opened the gap, a slight gap to Tom Coronel now all of a sudden. Maybe he's found pace now on his tyres and can well see Alex Young and the Minardi right in front of him. If he keeps up that pace, he probably will get past the Minardi, and the dreams of a Minardi point are gone again.
I don't think we're going to see the Minardi score points today, to be honest, because I think the strategy is not going to allow it. Obviously, Furman is going to the end of this race now, and I think surely, even with the damage that Furman probably has on that car, he's got to be miles faster than the Minardi is. That is Jensen Button going slow up the top of the hill. Yeah, I don't know what's just happened there with the Briton, but he's fallen down to 12th place, lost a place to Nicolas Manassian, and I think it may have been some form of mistake down at Eau Rouge and Radion. Let's have a look then of what happened with the Jaguar driver on the start of lap 28.
It's Alonso behind him. Up the hill.
It's the rear of the car going. Very similar incident actually to what Mark Webber had earlier on in the race, and Felipe Massa as well. Fortunately though for Jensen Button, he's able to carry on in this race, and I think there possibly could be a suggestion for the FAA on what has actually happened. Obviously the track has been resurfaced, so that could be an issue for the teams and drivers here today, but we've seen many times in this Grand Prix a lot of drivers losing the rear end of the car through the fastest corner on the circuit.
As Ralph and Montoya are slowly catching each other, catching Sperfico and Co, as Sperfico actually was being held up there by Justin Wilson. So the Toyota is not safe in his podium position yet.
And there is Montoya in the back of Ralf Schumacher's picture as he makes his way up Eau Rouge for the 28th time. Or maybe 29th time in this race, I'm not exactly sure where Schumacher is. I think it's about to cross the line now. Yeah, 15 laps to go then. No, that doesn't sound right. It's 16 laps to go. As Coronel has once again re-overtaken Ralph Furman. Did they resurface it with Lino? That's a good question.
Potentially. Montoya has closed that gap massively over the last few laps. Now 2.6 seconds between the Honda and the Williams. I feel like Montoya probably is... Yeah, go on.
You can see how the gap is visibly coming down between Ralf Schumacher and Montoya. You can hear the engine of the BMW roaring up towards the back of the Honda, as now on lap 30 it seems that Ralf Schumacher is going to be under pressure before he gets to the back of Riccardo Sperfico.
I feel like Montoya though could be lighter on fuel and potentially stop again, because that pace is not normally seen in the BMW Williams, even with Montoya behind the wheel. Well, Ralph has a problem because he literally lost a second through the middle sector.
Montoya unable to go for an actual move through Blanchimont as he now makes his way towards the bus stop chicane. Can he go towards the inside of the corner? He's going to look for it on the one-time world champion, but he will not be able unless he switches towards the inside for the second part of the chicane. Tries to pull alongside as they go over the start-finish straight to begin lap 30 in this Grand Prix. Montoya towards the inside of Ralf Schumacher, and he's going to look towards the inside, the Williams man, and move up now into 4th position in this race. Riccardo Sperfico, I don't know what's happening with him, but he's being held up quite drastically by Justin Wilson in this race.
I feel like Justin Wilson actually made a move there again on the Brazilian, because Sperfico was behind him the lap beforehand as well. But that's only allowing Montoya to potentially get that final podium position.
Fun fact about the bus stop chicane, it's not called the bus stop chicane because it originally used to look like a bus stop, the way it like boxed off and then you could go straight on into the pit lane. It's because the chicane, or rather that part of the straight, because it was originally just a straight rather than a chicane, just had a bus stop on it. So that's why it's called the bus stop chicane. Fun fact.
The funny thing is, because they that's called the bus stop beforehand, they resurfaced it in a way that it resembled a bus stop.
Yeah. Sperfico then losing a lot of time because he's battling with Justin Wilson. And hello, there's Juan Pablo Montoya now making his way possibly through on Justin Wilson.
And thus, quite easily now, Montoya is in prime position to take third of Riccardo Sperfico.
Of course, we
As
know
Coronel is-
Sperfico is going into the end of this race. As it currently stands, he had a very long stop.
In the meantime, Pedro de la Rosa is pitting at the end of this lap, so potentially can fall behind. Well, will fall behind the triple of Alex Young, Coronel, and Furman.
Riccardo Sperfico.
So for Montoya, if he's pitting, then he definitely needs to be making this place up, because so long that he's held up behind Riccardo Sperfico, it's probably going to allow Scott Dixon, if he's going to the end of this race, to keep up with him towards the end of this Grand Prix, as Pedro de la Rosa is scheduled to be into the box at the end of this lap.
Michael is pitting as well, but he has a massive gap behind to Alonso, so he's safe to stop even now. And to the pits now, Pedro de la Rosa will relinquish possibly 7th to Alex Young, but Alex Young is in the meantime being lapped by Fernando Alonso.
He should almost certainly be ahead of Tom Coronel, but the question is, can he stay ahead of the likes of Furman and Manassian to keep this points position? It's going to be a difficult task, but of course, if there's any car that can hold up others, it'll be the Opel of Pedro de la Rosa. As he now makes his way around the first corner, there is Young out the first corner, so he moves up into 7th provisionally, as we probably expect him to make another stop in this race, and he has rejoined ahead, most crucially, of Tom Coronel.
But will be interesting to see how the Opel can fare against Tom Coronel now on the similar fuel load, but fresher tires on the Opel and more heated up tires for the drivers behind them, who have more pace in general in this race. Meantime, Montoya is probably looking to finally get that move on the Brazilian, as De La Rosa is struggling currently on his cold tires.
Yeah, De La Rosa might fall under pressure here on Tom Coronel. We've seen a lot of overtakes here into Rivage, and it seems like Tom Coronel is going to make it no exception as he dives up the inside to get into the points ahead of the Spaniard, and it could all now be falling apart for the Opel team, with De La Rosa now down to 9th and under pressure from the definitely going to the end of the race, Ralph Furman. As there's Montoya up the inside.
Gets the move.
The Brazilian makes his way down to 4th place as the Colombian swaps positions with him and is now up into the podium places, unless the Toyota can find any way back through up the Kemmel Straight. We'll see if we can carry the straight line speed of that Toyota back past the BMW Williams of Montoya. He is closing. 3/10 becomes 2/10, becomes 1/10 up the inside. No, he's not close enough. Montoya just about getting the advantage. He had a brilliant exit out of Radion, and unfortunately for Sperfico, it looks like he is going to have to relinquish that position, at least for now, to Montoya, although we do expect him to be into the stop before the end of this race, the Williams driver. But for the Opel of Pedro de la Rosa, his business is not done and dusted just yet with Tom Coronel in this race as he looks towards the inside, in towards La Source. The BAR and Opel teams clash at turn 1, and De La Rosa is back up into 8th position in this race. Next stop for Pedro de la Rosa has to be overtaking Alex Young by any means necessary, with just 12 laps to go.
Coronel and Ralph Fernando could possibly be in the shout for another overtake, as there's Ricardo Zonta making a move on Alex Young. That helps potentially Pedro de la Rosa in this battle as well, as now McLaren is ready for Michael Schumacher to pit for his final stop. De la Rosa gets by Zonta quite easily.
Oh, and that's Sperfico! Sperfico hitting the back of Benoit Trellier, and the Toyota team I've got to be furious with both Rose Toyota drivers in this race. Montoya into the box, Sperfico back up to 3rd, but we've seen so many times in this Grand Prix, both Rose Toyota cars being a nuisance to the Works team right now, as Michael Schumacher makes his way into the box from the race lead. Unless it's something like a 30-second stop, should be able to rejoin in the lead of this race, as Montoya possibly held up a little bit, and that's probably going to curtail any chance of him possibly finishing higher than 4th, unless Ralf Schumacher pits again in this Grand Prix.
In the meantime, Coronel lost a heap of time because of Ricardo Zonta, now 2.2 seconds behind as Alex Young has been passed there by Pedro de la Rosa for 7th.
The Spaniard then up back into the position that he was before his pit stop and will now try to run away from the Minardi as the Malaysian will attempt to hold on to what little chance he's got left of a points finish today. He surely has to pit before the end of this race with just over 10 laps to go. I think 11 laps remaining actually for him in this Grand Prix.
I'm not sure if he has to pit again.
Yeah, he is pitting. See, he's just said he's pitting
never mind.
at the end of this lap. So I think the dream for Alex Young and a potential points finish is going to be over. But it has been a commendable performance from the Malaysian as he is likely to pit and fall towards the realm of the two Jaguars.
Still a good drive by the Malaysian. But it will be interesting to see if Furman and Coronel can get to Pedro de la Rosa again, as Ricardo Zonta is still holding them up. Lap traffic around here is pretty much horrific currently.
And now Coronel Coronel has, I think, proven that he is potentially faster than Ralph Furman at this stage of the race. I'm not sure if the Dutchman needs to pit before the end of this Grand Prix, but if he doesn't, then he has got a good chance of scoring his first points of his Formula 1 career here. Of course, driving for Audi with very little chance of scoring points in 2003 and has been driving a couple of races for BAR this season in place of David Coulthard.
As Alex Young is putting more pressure on Pedro de la Rosa, that just allowed Furman and Coronel to close up. De la Rosa now under huge threat from behind as Furman now looks for a move on Alex Young as the Malaysian is set to stop at the end of this lap.
Furman then really needs to make sure that he allows Young to make his way into the pits, or there may be a bit of an incident here. Young gets into the pits perfectly safe, and now Furman is released up into 8th position and ready to fight against Pedro de la Rosa. It's a three-way battle then, I'm pretty sure, if Coronel is making his way to the end of this race before making another stop, between Coronel, Furman and de la Rosa, all for 7th.
But both cars behind Pedro de la Rosa will find it difficult to overtake the Spaniard up the Campbell Straight. Have to do it in the second sector where the Opel is pretty much vulnerable. So I think there's BAR ready in the pits.
As Young has rejoined ahead of Jensen, but Jensen's going to be furious with this race. How has he managed to be outpaced by a Minardi in this Grand Prix? He'll be asking so many questions of his team, and this just sums up the reason why he made the move to Minardi so early, to Williams, I should say, so early on in the season, as Furman has now overtaken Pedro de la Rosa. Coronel made contact there with the Spaniard as well, so Pedro de la Rosa really struggling to stay with his rivals in this Grand Prix.
Meantime, Ralf Schumacher is now 3 tenths down on Ricardo Sparaffico. Potentially could see a move there for 3rd position and could help Honda massively in the championship standings.
And of course, if Ralf Schumacher manages to find a way through, he could potentially get his teammate to try and also overtake him and box him in for a couple of corners to allow him to get a bit of a gap. If Honda allows it. Of course, Japanese rivals in the, well, not in the Constructors' Championship, but in terms of pride between Honda and Toyota, it's crucial that Honda finally get one over Toyota in this championship, as Ralf Schumacher's nearly just lost the car completely through the Les Combes chicane. He's able to keep it pointing in the correct direction, but that was nearly a devastating mistake there from the reigning champion. Coronel is indeed into the pit, so it is indeed a 2-horse race for 7th place in this Grand Prix.
I think it's even a 7th place potentially now for De La Rosa, as he's 2 seconds behind Ralph Furman.
He's going to dive on the inside on Ricardo Sparaffico. A very optimistic lunge, but he's made it work straight round the outside for Ralf Schumacher as he makes his way up into 3rd position in this race. It's been a fantastic race for Ralf so far, as I think that's Sato into the pits, actually. So Sato and Trulli both into the pits, as they are pretty much glued to each other on the racetrack. For Sperafico, though, he falls down to fourth place in this race. I don't know if Ralph still needs to pit. Let me check how many stops he has done in this Grand Prix. He has been on these tyres since lap 22 and has made 2 stops. So potentially may need to make another stop, unfortunately, in this Grand Prix.
If he needs to make another stop, it's going to be a pretty late one, considering you have only around 8 laps to go. But in the meantime, Sato, Montero, Trulli into the pits.
Yeah, so Faith has been asking how long until Monza. Pretty much every stream since the pre-season test at the start of the season.
Yeah.
But it is next week. So if you do enjoy... Come on.
Watch him ask after Monza, when Monza.
Could have missed the whole Monza stream. So yeah, if you do enjoy this series, and if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe, of course, as we do this 2004 simulation every Sunday at 6 PM British summertime, BST. So same time, same place next week, and we'll be here for the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, where hopefully Ferrari can get their act back together in this season. It's unlikely now that they'll probably win the Constructors' Championship as it currently stands, with Michael Schumacher taking victory in 8 or so laps time in this Grand Prix.
You're gonna once again look at him move there, but not close enough to make the dive like Ralph did on him. Maybe doesn't get the run that he needs. Maybe now.
Sperafico can definitely smell an opportunity of another podium in his Formula 1 career, but Ralf Schumacher can smell an opportunity in saving Honda's whole season if he can hold on to this third place. Sperafico, though, is going to make it difficult for him, barging between each other as they make their way through the final corners to begin lap 37 of this race. Looking towards the inside now is the Brazilian of Ricardo Sperafico. He looks towards the inside, and that's a good move there to make his way up into third position once more in this race. But I think Ralf Schumacher, even with the limitations of his Honda, has got more heart than Sperafico does and the Toyota team to try and get this third place back.
Potentially could see another move coming up soon.
Seems that Furman has now managed to pull away quite considerably ahead of Pedro de la Rosa, so it seems like de la Rosa is almost certainly fixed onto that 8th position, barring any other outside factors.
I mean, Manassian just gained 5/10 in one corner on him, so potentially Manassian could, if he somehow manages to get 2 seconds per lap on De La Rosa, or even 3 seconds per lap on De La Rosa, he could be with the Spaniard pretty soon then. But
another swap in the position. Yep, through Ravage. And he is back up into third place once more. It seems that Sperafico has the advantage through Sector 3 and 1, and then in Sector 2, Ralf Schumacher just has ultimate grip compared to the Toyota. He's really giving it his all in this Grand Prix. He really wants to finish this season on a bang after a tumultuous season, to say the least. It's arguably been one of the worst championship defensive campaigns that we have ever seen in Formula 1, but I feel like that has little to do with the faults of the driver and more down to the limitations of his car, as I've previously said. But Sperafico is not letting this one go away right now, as the Brazilian, looking for any way through into the bus stop chicane, is going to look left, is going to look right, is going to look towards the inside of the first part of the chicane again. It's a repeat of last lap, and Ralf Schumacher just holds on again. So as we end lap 37 between these two, it's all to play for the final podium place.
I don't think we will see Honda already in the pits anytime soon. I feel like even if Ralf is light on fuel, still he will probably stay out at this point and hope that he somehow manages with reserves that he has left. Both drivers now up the hill again.
Yeah, Ralf Schumacher, I feel like, is going to be able to just if he can get past him in the second sector on the final lap, he should be able to hold on through the rest of the Grand Prix, or the rest of the lap, I should say, for the Grand Prix podium. But that time has not yet come. If Sperrifico is able to hold him off by a number of seconds through the final couple of laps, then it should be Sperrifico's to lose us up the inside again. It's a repeat of last lap. Schumacher back up into third.
As De La Rosa has lost a heap of time there. Around
Maybe
3 seconds.
No, he's not got any traffic around him. He's just losing a lot of time in that Opel. As we'll look at the time intervals between De La Rosa and Manassian, 2.7 seconds gained in a single lap. De La Rosa's really struggling in this last stint, it seems, as he is really coming under pressure now from Nicolas Manassian. I don't think this battle is just over and done yet between Manassian and De La Rosa for this final point. Of course, De La Rosa with the track position and the straight line speed advantage, but of course the Dams is ever so fast in the straight line. The Dams is ever so fast in the corners, I should say, sorry. As Sperrifico, nowhere near as close as he was on the previous lap to getting past Ralf Schumacher.
Potentially see that Ralf is now slowly pulling away. 1.8 seconds between, no, 8 tenths between the two of them. Ralf might have the upper hand now, or Sperrifico is lining him up for the last lap attack, essentially. Just keeping with the Honda.
5 laps to go then for race leader Michael Schumacher as he begins lap 40 of this Grand Prix. Yes, he does. The actual plug-in is correct this time round. So yeah, so Michael Schumacher with his half a minute advantage over Fernando Alonso should be able to take his 6th race victory of the season, but that's not what we're focusing on right now. We're focusing on the battle between Sperrifico and Ralf Schumacher for 3rd position in this race.
Really interesting to see Michael is approaching this battle. If Sperrifico or Ralf could potentially use Michael as an advantage in this battle. Sperrifico now looks to make the move that Ralf did on him constantly and make it stick, and he does so. But I feel like the McLaren is getting closer than we thought so.
Sperrifico then certainly showing that he has got some decent pace in this middle sector. He's just kind of experimenting, I would say, between him and Ralf Schumacher to see where he needs to get ahead, possibly in the final lap of this race. But their race could potentially be cut short by a whole lap if Michael Schumacher gets to the back of them in time and laps them. Schumacher has actually just gotten around Juan Pablo Montoya to lap him in this Grand Prix, so the top 4 remain on the lead lap. I don't think Montoya is going to be able to be in this fight for the final podium place in time, but for Sperrifico, he's holding on for now in towards the bus stop chicane. The straight line speed of that Toyota keeps him in check ahead of Ralf Schumacher, but we've seen many overtakes in towards turn 1 done by both drivers, and we'll see if that's a repeat of this lap. Starting lap 40 then for Ralf Schumacher and Riccardo Sperrifico. He's going to be a long way back if he wants to make this move, but he does look towards the inside. He can't make the move, and he's just clipped the wall there. That could lose the opportunity there for Ralf Schumacher to potentially take this final podium place. He's going to fall out of slipstream range of
there's a
Sperrifico.
Jaguar just ahead. There's a Jaguar just ahead, so potentially Ralf can use that one to get back in the slipstream of Sperrifico. The gap between Manassian and De La Rosa has gotten down further, but not that far down that Manassian potentially could make a move.
Seemed like a potential mistake more than anything then for De La Rosa that cost him a couple of seconds a lap or two ago, as Ralf Schumacher really struggling to keep up with Riccardo Sperrifico at this current stage. He needs to get within a second to get that full complement of slipstream, but he is now as they make their way towards Pouhon for the 40th time in this Grand Prix.
Could potentially see him back in fighting condition now, after the little scare that he had there. But they both have to navigate that Jaguar pretty soon. I don't know who it is currently, but I'm pretty certain that could be the Mata actually. As Sperafika had a poor exit out of Stavolo there.
My driver of the day probably is Alex Young, in all fairness.
Yeah, Alex Young.
Oh,
Montero's
no!
no.
Montero's out the race. It's the first time this season that we have seen a Minardi retire from a Grand Prix, and it is Thiago Montero with just a handful of laps remaining. Couldn't you have just waited a few more laps before expiring? I guess not. He is out the race.
In the background there is Michael. Michael has closed up the gap between the two of them here. Oh, I just keep blowing up. Okay. That's the Mata actually, yeah. In front of Riccardo Sperafiko. So now Sperafiko has to lap the Jaguar.
And the Brazilian allows his...
straight.
Yeah, the Brazilian allows his compatriot to get through quite easily. Ralf Schumacher sent it from a long way back. He can't afford to hold behind any Jaguars in this Grand Prix. He needs this podium. He wants this podium. He just absolutely is gunning for it. Hell for leather now for Ralf Schumacher as he goes up the inside and towards Rivard. Sperafiko just about closing the door as there's contact between the Toyota and the Honda. Sperafiko just staying ahead for now, but on lap 41, it could be now or never as Michael Schumacher is starting to approach. This could be just 2 laps ago rather than 3.
The thing is, if Michael somehow gets involved in this and then to lose even further time, Montoya has gained 2 seconds the last 2 laps. He's just behind him as well.
No one's the Minardi boss, by the way, Gallifreyan. It's just that everyone wants to see Minardi do something rather than not qualify.
And there's Michael.
There is Michael lapping Cristiano De Mata, and will soon be on the back of his brother and Sperafiko, and could potentially help his Honda driving brother out for this final podium place, although is struggling to get past De Mata as it currently stands.
Gap between Ralph and Montoya only 3.7 seconds now as well. Potentially we could see a move there for Montoya as well, getting involved in this battle.
Thank you for the standings there, Sampas. As it currently stands, Schumacher would lead the championship. No, it would be behind in the championship, behind Raikkonen by 2 solitary points. Pansino would be a couple points further behind with 59. Alonso would be 4th, and Montoya and Trulli will complete the top 6. This podium, though, could prove crucial if Schumacher can achieve it, with, of course, Opel and Brabham also in that fight. Currently, there's an Opel situated in the points, just 4 seconds ahead of Nicolas Minassian. Should be able to hold onto that one for the rest of this Grand Prix. But for Ralf Schumacher, he needs to get 3rd place in this Grand Prix. He's going for it up the inside. He's a lot more alongside than he was on the previous lap. He sent it from a long way back, and he's back ahead. He's up into 3rd place in what could be the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix.
And Sperafiko now has to let Michael by. And Montoya is just behind. Montoya is now in the battle for the 3rd position as well.
Yep, there is Montoya in the picture. Just a couple seconds now behind. 1.3 seconds even behind Sperafiko. So he's actually closer to Sperafiko than the Brazilian is to the German in 3rd.
And Ralph makes it clever there, letting his brother through into Stavolo. Good coronation there by the 2003 world champion. Pretty much safe now. Montoya now building the pressure on Sperafiko and potentially move up further in the championship fight.
And it could not be over, actually, for Montoya to potentially gain another place in this race. 4th place is still on the cards, as now Sperafiko has dropped off the back of Ralf Schumacher as we head into the final lap of this Belgian Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed this Grand Prix, of course, make sure to like and subscribe, because this has been absolutely fantastic. Through qualifying, through all the 44 laps, I think it's been, minus Monaco, probably being one of the greatest Grand Prix even in this career mode. Never mind in this season, as Alonso has surprisingly been given drive of the day.
Don't know why. I think he started 11th, but didn't really do much in the race.
Clearly no wheel knowledge about Alex Young, that's for certain, as Jensen Button has
that's for
overtaken
certain.
Tom Coronel for 10th place. Our eyes are fixated, though, on this battle for the final podium place that may have just died down just in time in the favour of Ralf Schumacher, although Sperrifico will go hell for leather on this final lap to try and catch up to Ralf Schumacher by any means necessary.
Montoya, though, has a good exit there. Could potentially challenge Sperrifico into the second sector. Maybe down to Puon.
I think the third position is now out the question for Riccardo Sperrifico, as he's got Montoya to contend with now, as it turns into a battle for fourth rather than a battle for third. Montoya all over the back of Sperrifico into this final lap.
Could be maybe a send down into the inside here. No, can do, but Stavolo comes up another heavy braking zone, or the bus stop chicane. Montoya now down the inside. Not close enough, but the move is pretty much on now for the Colombian on the Toyota.
And this is one more opportunity then for Juan Pablo Montoya to make this move. As for Michael Schumacher, though, it is going to be a 6th victory of the season. He has fought back beyond any contention to be back into the championship fight. It seems like it's now Raikkonen versus Schumacher with 4 rounds to go. Schumacher takes victory in Belgium, but what about the battle for fourth? It's Sperrifico across the line. Sperrifico just holds on ahead of Montoya, but bravo to Ralf Schumacher in the Honda. Fantastic result as he scores Honda's first podium since last season's San Marino Grand Prix. Alonso will keep his championship hopes alive with a solid second place finish here at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, but it will not help Renault at all in the Constructors' Championship as McLaren continue to pull away. The gap is now extended to 21 points in the Constructors' Championship. Scott Dixon, a great drive from him, underrated drive I'd say, as he gets his first points of his Formula 1 career up in 6th position, and a good result for the New Zealander. Ralph Furman will be next across the line, and it's a what could have been sort of race for Dams. Bottling it on the strategy, and also with the crash that happened between him and his teammate Nicolas Minassian, it cost them both any chance of a potential podium here today. But for Pedro de la Rosa, he's just got a couple of corners to go to claim his second points finish of the season, as the Spaniard, makes his way out of the final corner, and it's 8th place for Pedro de la Rosa, just about holding on ahead of Nicolas Minassian. But what about the battle for 10th? Coronel towards the outside. Button forces him out wide, and just about pulling ahead is going to be the Jaguar up towards the line, and it's Button ahead of Coronel in that battle for 10th. Alex Young, I don't know how he's done it, but he's beaten 5 drivers in this Grand Prix. Fair play to him. 12th place, a good solid race in the first race for the upgraded Minardi, and I'm sure that there is going to be more races to come for both him and his teammate Tiago Monteiro. Cristiano D'Amata in 13th with Sato, Trollier, Wilson and Zonta last of the running order in 17th. 9 retirements in this Grand Prix. Montero, engine failure. Webber crashing out of the race. Villeneuve unable to overtake Alex Young, because of course we all know that Alex Young is the greatest driver of all time. The Canadian out of the race, as well as Trulli. A very pivotal race for him as he also retires. Pantano with his very large crash down at the Les Combes chicane. Hopefully he's okay from his incident. There'll be a report on that within the week about that in my Discord, and that's the link for that is in the description down below, with Massa, Raikkonen, Heidfeld and Barrichello also all retiring. Have you got any further comments about that race, Nils?
Definitely not. Probably the race of the century at this point. That Young beat drivers on pure pace is outstanding. But the championship fight is truly on now, with potentially 4 drivers in it, but we will see what Monza has in store for us. More drivers, more teams bringing upgrades to this historic venue as well.
And that is the end of the Belgian Grand Prix. The next race in this series is, of course, the Italian Grand Prix, as Nils has just said. That is at the Autodromo de Monza. So join us there next week, same time, same place. And as well, on Wednesday, the next episode of the 1994 career mode will be releasing for the European Grand Prix. So I'll see you in each of those. But for now, it's going to be all from us in today's stream, and goodbye.